Well, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we got a special guest, Mr. Bob Burnquist.
What's up?
Welcome.
Yes, dude.
Super Bob. Finally in the 9 Club.
Yes.
You made it. I don't know if the X Games has that scoring, but you made it, man.
Haven't gotten that one.
Well, listen, first time for everything.
That's right.
Dude. After how many years? 22 something years in the X Games or something?
Something like that.
Jeez.
95.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know.
95 to 2000 and what did you retire? You said got semi-retired.
Well, I can always, it was really a point of like doing the same thing over and over that I got tired about. Right? It's like here's the ramp, here's the same, there's that trick. To change the format, change ramp design, I can get interested. There's things, that's really what that was.
But how much of a design change can that thing take, though? I mean, what are we talking about? I don't know. I don't watch all the X Games, but do they do the rainbow rail or the manual pad, or is it just airs on the X Games?
They did in the past, and listen. The other thing is too is just it's so high risk that it's like, I mean, at one point I'm like, is it really worth all those like breaking my face, breaking like things like that? That's like I've done that, and pushed through them and pushed through so many injuries. Then it's to a point where it's like, well, if this happens again, then it's like, is it really worth it?
Sure.
Kind of thing.
Right.
So, especially when you're going off that size of a jump. Like I skate my backyard and I don't go that high all the time. I go, it's tech and fast, but it's not to the level of, it's not wheelchair level, because that's like when you're going that fast off the 70-foot jump, going 20 like foot plus.
Okay.
You make a little mistake, you're on the coping or you're low. I mean, you saw Jake Brown, you saw D-Way. I've taken some hits. It's just like, well, okay, how many more of those do I want to take at that level? So when you level it down and you go into the tech and like, at my house we have the hip and the step up and the rail and manual pad. So then you can actually, get more creative and be a little bit more, progressive with it, and not just spins, which is amazing. We just saw a 1260. I mean, that to me is retarded, right? But that's
seriously,
that's progression.
Seriously, was it some other guy?
Michi Brusco, by the way, have to say.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, but the other guy, he slammed as well on the same ramp. What was the guy's name?
Is it Tom Shar?
No.
Or is it
he slammed good.
Oh, it's Trey Wood.
Trey Wood.
Yes. And he was trying 9s. I was right there. We were skating and then I was like, hey, go first. I want to see it from up here.
Okay.
And then he drops in and he spins and it looks good because, I'm looking at it flat. So I'm far away from the rolling. So, and then all of a sudden he, just stops, And I was like, oh, that's not good.
Right.
And then, when I saw the footage, I can't believe he actually walked up.
Yeah.
He was just trying to be like, stay moving.
Yeah.
But he sat right down, like as soon as he felt, I mean, that is what I run from.
Well, like you said, like the one slight miscalculation.
It is. And you can't see and you just got to believe it. You got to give it the snap and then you got to like hope that you're in the right place.
How does that affect your session on that when someone falls like that?
It's a bummer.
Well, it sucks obviously because you don't want to, and that was right before the contest start too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But right after that, it really depends on who goes after, right? So like Elliot jumped and then did a tail 5 and made it, and just kind of cleaned up the slam vibe, and it can be harsh, and the way I look at it, if I took the slam, I was like, okay, there's that, so the statistics of that happening again is like, now I'm in a better place, so I'll go again. But it's just, it stays in your head. I mean, if you do it long enough, like I have, you've experienced the pain in many different ways, then it's in your head, always.
Yeah.
Right? So when you have the new energy, a lot of the kids are starting, they haven't taken those slams yet. Trey just did. So I'm sure he's thinking different. Yeah. But, it's just this like, oh, yeah, it's great. It's fun. Because I remember the feeling. I remember when I was skating it all the time, and I was just like, I know how to do it now. I know how to fall. You get this confidence. Mm-hmm. And there's a difference in the confidence and the ego inflating, because once the ego starts inflating, you can get checked real
pretty
quick.
hard. Yeah.
So and I was like, oh yeah, I can try and whatever, and I was trying nollie backside heel 180s right on the gap.
Okay.
And then when I went to fall, I put my foot down. I was just kind of like, I fell so many times, like I know how to fall, it's all good. I put my foot down, I was riding sideways. So as soon as I put my foot down, my leg just, because it's so fast, right? So it just caught in my knee, just went whack, kind of did this whip and it almost blew my knee just on a simple. Put my foot down. I was like, oh, okay. No, I really have to pay attention every time I'm skating. I can't do that. So now I don't put my foot down ever, When I bail, it's like I turn into a ball, and
slide it off.
Exactly.
Right.
But it takes, when you skate vert, when you skate park, and you skate street, you bail differently. So you get this memory of like how to do it.
Sure.
And on mega, and that's what people get hurt when they start skating mega is they try to run out.
Oh, geez.
Pat Duffy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a huge one, and that was it's because he tried to run out.
His instincts took over.
It's instincts. I mean, he skates. That's how he skates, and that's so the bailing part is like so important over there. But that was it. Once that happened to me, I was like, okay, let me
focus
every time I jump. Now I treat it like a skydive, or I treat it like a flight. I check everything. I make sure I'm good. I'm focused on, because your next flight is the most important. That's no matter how many jumps you've had, no matter how many things you've done, the one mistake you make could be a fatal one.
That's
so,
right.
Oh my god.
So I treat mega like that. So I'm checking my board. I'm checking this. And how's the ramp? How's this? And every time I go, I'm like way more respectful of it.
Totally. I mean, speaking of like your backyard, you have the mega in the backyard. I mean, how does that? Do you even just go for like? What's a session like that? Can you just wake up and just be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go mess with the little mega for a minute.
Loop and a vert.
Yeah, you can. You can have somewhat of mellow sessions on it. I can go for lip tricks on the quarter, and just, but it's tiring. Like you have to walk up the landing and then take speed and get on, and then bail and then walk up the landing.
Yeah.
Right.
So anytime I filmed a lip trick or whatever, it took me a lot of effort. Unless I made it like, short amount of tries, which isn't that many times, it's just these constantly going up. And that's the hardest part.
Right.
So, but that's also good, because then that's the fitness part of it, right?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say to get a ski lift or something. That's a good investment, but keep in shape, walk up the hill.
That's right. So I can go there. I can do a session on the rail. And to me, the rail is I can skate that every day.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, like I could be into that. Like
warm up would be a board slide or 50. Like, how do you warm up? Like, what do you?
Yeah,
50-50s
what's a warm
or
up
board slides.
Okay,
just straight 50-50s or Smith grinds or like that. But once you start like flipping into it, then it's just a matter of how you get out of it, how do you bail. Right?
Okay.
So when I start, because the rail is really like, it's the angle of the rail is like the angle of the trajectory. So when you look at so when I go fast, I just hover above it.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like placing your trucks or board on it.
Exactly. So if I want to, touch the rail, I have to slow down. So what I do is, if I'm trying something new, if I'm going to try a flip into it, like I go fast, and then.
So you're going to clear it.
I know I'm going to clear it, but I start getting more and more comfortable with it. And then I'm like, okay, the flip's kind of there, and then I'll slow down. And then when you really slow down, then you feel the rail, because a lot of times you can just be hovering above it. So you can do a board slide by just touching just a scratch, but you're kind of doing an air almost, right?
Right.
So to really to flip into it and to land trick, sometimes that float set feeling is not good, so you need to touch the rail.
Yeah. Okay.
So then you need to slow down, and the slowing down is scary.
I could imagine.
Because you want to make sure you're gonna
clear that thing.
And there's ways. I've kind of learned I got this move so I don't sack it.
Oh, what's a move?
I do a 4, right? So I put my you put your ankle around my knee, ankle around the knee.
Okay.
And then I do the shin slide across it.
Oh.
Right? So if I flip and nothing's there and I'm gonna sack, I go right into that 4. And then I lock it's like a shin slide. I got
Wait a minute,
shin guards.
Oh, you got. Okay, I was going to ask.
So you bring one foot up over your knee.
Yeah, and then shin guard slide.
I would like to
it.
see that. Actually.
Yeah, no,
I want to see some bails.
So many bails, yeah, like that I do that. And then one time I tried to kickflip. I tried the kickflip indie butt ride that I do on end of demos. Okay, that's it.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, Tony has the backflip onto the deck, right? Like he does that one. Mine's the kickflip butt ride. So when I do that, I mean, the demo is over. I'm not, coming back
Time for
up.
the sticker toss.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, I think I can do that on the rail, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to kickflip and then butt right. I think I can still do it. Okay. But the first time I tried it, I just went kickflip. I opened up my leg, so the 4 is gone, and then like it didn't quite, I couldn't get it under me. So I went straight sack, both. It didn't really grab, like it didn't hit the balls like full on, but it it grabbed both sides of my legs, and it was like just purple. It was just just super bad. And then I was like, I can't believe that just happened. Like, I mean, that was one of the worst slams I've had on a trick that's not even that.
Yeah,
I shouldn't even have tried that. But now I'm intrigued. Now I want it.
You want to try it?
It's been a while.
I think you got
Come
that.
with a sack guard.
You could probably 5-0 that thing.
Yeah.
But 5-0 it.
Oh, I thought about invert grinds too, like soaping, get a soap glove,
downhill gloves.
yeah, and just try to get into that.
Oh my God.
There's a couple of tricks. Yeah,
It's like the possibilities. I mean, you just keep thinking and thinking and thinking and trying them. I mean, you got it in the backyard.
backflip 50-50.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
That kind of.
Yeah.
Danny and I are talking. That's like Danny's world. Dan, like back in the day, he did the front side 3 disaster, like grab, and I remember we were talking about like, man, backflip.
Does Danny come skate your host a lot?
Not lately as much. He's been hurt off and on, so he's been on that tear. He did a lot in the beginning, and when he was filming and stuff, and then now I like we tried to connect a bunch, and I tried to skate vert with them, but I'm always traveling Brazil, and he's always out there. But yeah, he's so much fun to skate with. We had so many sessions that was just him and I that were just like kind of a dream come true as a kid. It was just like, man, that's Danny Way skating my backyard.
That's insane.
Man, he was a huge part. I mean, I got to thank Danny. Not only getting that whole process of the mega going, but when the 7-acre lot was available. I had done something, and I didn't have the money necessarily to put the down payment, but I was gonna get it in a couple months. It was something like that, and then I was just like, "Hey, Danny, this is happening. I got the this slot right here," and he's like, "Yeah, man." He's just put down $30,000.
No way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he went and did that, and then a couple months later I paid him back.
Yeah,
but it was such a
amazing.
cool act because he could have been like, no way,
Yeah.
Right.
Why would I give this guy the opportunity to build a ramp, but just speaks volumes about who he is and
Sure,
stuff. So people don't
right.
know that, but he was a big
fucking sick, yeah.
reason.
That's super
Yeah.
rad.
If somebody else could have come in and swooped the land.
Yeah, that's right. Or just not, it wouldn't go down. It'd wait a couple months, and then
Yeah.
that was not going down.
Is it literally in your backyard, or is it?
Yeah, it wasn't, and then I bought. That was like I had to buy the 7-acre lot.
Gotcha.
So this guy he wanted to build 4 houses, and he can only build 3. And then he wanted an easement, so he wanted to buy my 2-acre lot that was on the side. And then I was like, no, I'm not selling it to you. So then he got landlocked in a way because he couldn't get people to go there, and then he didn't have the 4 houses, so it wasn't now viable. And
He
then,
needed to get
and
rid
then
of
he's
the
like,
land.
oh, and I was like, but I'll buy it from you, And then, yeah, so it became a thing. He's like, okay, all right, and then he sold it. So it was one of those.
It all worked
meant
out.
to be, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then it became the backyard.
And that's down in Vista? Is that
That's
where-
in Vista, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever caught anybody trying to sneak in and do a little mega jump?
People go there all the time.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Do you guys chain it up or anything?
it's
I know, put a
it's
little chain
karma.
on the bottom of the mega.
Come on, it's karma. I mean, how many backyards I've trespassed to skate their pools?
Yeah.
So I'm always like, well, I do it too, So that's kind of like how I view it. But I try to when people are there, I don't come out and say go away. I have people who go out there.
Okay.
But there's one place that I can be a dick. And it's at my house, right? So, and I tried to hold because, like, if I see you on the street, you ask for water, you do it, whatever, it's all
Yeah,
good. Like,
yeah.
I can be eating, you can stop me, all good. But when I'm at home and if I'm nice, then it's gonna spread that it's cool. Just go to Bob's house; he's super cool.
I showed up. He was in his robe and coffee,
He
and
was totally fine.
watching me
Like,
skate his
came
ramp.
in,
Yeah.
So I tend to be like, no, like just I put that down, but.
You have to.
Boundaries.
Yeah,
people.
You have
if
to.
I'm confronted,
Right.
like if I just see someone there and I can, I have my brother-in-law Bruno, who, so I just have, hey, like just go out and tell him, that you
Yeah.
can't be around.
Right.
But I've had like 2 kids one time from Guatemala, and they're just like on their skateboards and they show up to the front, and I was about to go into dick mode, you know, and then I looked at the situation and I was just like, hey, what's up, guys? And they're like, Bob, oh my God, it's our dream. We like skated, like they came from like, you know, whatever their country, and they took a bus and then they skated. You know, I was like, all right, come over here. And I gave them the full tour. It's
amazing.
You know, yeah,
Oh,
we
wow.
skated. We skated.
You live
straight
like in
on
the middle
top
of nowhere too.
Totally.
How
So
do
I
they
mean,
even know where
so,
this?
I mean, people
Google
can find
Maps,
it. Yeah,
maybe.
you can find it. But
Satellite.
like, you know, but that was the only situation where I was like, okay, I'll show you around.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just show up with their cars and they're like, oh, hey, we just came in from
Just in the neighborhood.
And, yeah.
I think
no,
it's-
they came from some other state to visit and they want to, you know, see Dreamland.
Right.
I'm like, cool. Now you see it. Now you go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, now leave. But I think it's just also one of those. It's like just seeing a mega ramp in person.
Right.
I think people
It's
just
like a
want to go
monument.
and see. Yeah, it's like
It is.
Yeah, it's huge.
And
It's huge.
the crazy thing is that you can't see it from the street, and you can't see it unless you go in through my gate, and then you go over this little hill, and then you see it.
Yeah.
So it's not something
It's
that you
hidden.
can like cruise down the street and be like, oh, there's Bob's house.
okay.
So that's the unique. It's just in this like between these hills and. You know, and I do get a lot of helicopter and airplanes. They know because I'm a pilot too, so they
Sure.
know. You know, and they use it as a visual point. So it's
do
just
they?
like, yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, it's over at Bob's house.
wow.
Yeah, so that's there. So you can't escape that one.
You've really created something over there, bro.
Yeah, it's like
I would say I'd want to come over, but I don't know what I would skate over there. I mean, just to watch, I think.
the deck of the bowl that was wood, the vert bowl. That's all Crete now.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Did you go
So-
right over all the wood?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so we had I was sitting with Jeff King and we're talking about like the wood, the skate light was already kind of like over every years I had to redo it, right?
Yeah.
So
I think expensive.
I
too.
redid the skate light once, and then when it came to do it again, then it's like the underlayer was all weird, and I was like, okay, I have to make a decision. It was like going to be like 60 grand or something to
a lot.
redo it, and then 90 to 100 to concrete it. And then Jeff King was like, dude, maybe you should like think about creating over it. And I was like, really, you can do that? And I was thinking like, yeah, I guess those guys, they do the parks, like just a thin layer, and
Yeah.
so I'm like, maybe that's something that could go down. Then we reached out to Grindline, R.I.P. Hubbard. So Mark came over and we're talking about it. And he's like, yeah, we can do that, and he bid it out,
Wow.
and then they went at it. So
So your ramp's like entombed.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I mean, I had Andy Roy was on the job, so
No way.
that was cool hanging with him for.
That's amazing.
Hadn't hung with him in a long time, so
Wow.
yeah, so he was there, and then they're just like, dude, this is the perfect mold. It's like. I left a lot of the skate lights. I pulled like the main sheets of skate light out, but
All
all
the
the
stuff.
corners were just going to be hard to pull out. So I left a lot of the corners, and then just crete right over it. I think there's like a thick layer like this, like right over it.
Crazy.
So the flat bottom's shorter.
Yeah.
It's
The
getting faster now.
cradle isn't as skatable anymore. Like it's skatable, but it's hard. Like all the tricks, because when I built it, it was already on the tight side. Because it was something that hadn't been done really, and I was like, I wonder how big I need to build this.
Yeah.
And then the size was tight for the vert, and if I were to do it again, I would have built it like a bigger radius.
Oh, okay.
So when the concrete came over, it was like it made everything.
Because you're adding these couple inches,
You
which
added
tightens
that,
it
and
up.
It tightened it up, and then when I went to go do a grind on it, it was hard. So I was like, oh man, okay, that's that. Yeah, so it was like all the backside Smith grinds, and all the stuff that I did was like that's that. That was done. Because
Crazy.
now it's like just doing a grind on it is hard. Someone came over and did a back Smith. I can't remember who, but I was just like, wow, that's insane.
I feel like anything that exists, somebody's going to
and it's
Definitely
shreddable,
right.
right? It's how you approach it. you
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
So
You could put a flat bar on the wall. Somebody's going to skate it.
Yeah. But so to your
He probably
to your
will.
question, the deck now is all concrete. So I have this big old flat area that,
Oh, cool.
that I put like the street stuff and the manual pads and
Oh, dude, okay.
so I do have
I'll make a
something
trip
small.
down there.
Yes.
I'll make that trip.
There's definitely skatable options.
Sick.
Well, I want to get into growing up in Brazil and doing that and how you got your start and everything. But since we're on the subject of the mega ramp
Sure.
and in the backyard and everything, you're skating vert and then this mega thing kind of comes into play. How did that even happen? Did that get presented to you, or was it kind of something that existed already? Or what was the process? I mean, walk me through this. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was a process and a natural progression to my evolution as a skateboarder.
Right.
So, back in Brazil, I skated a lot of street, and I skated vert, and I skated bowl, and I skated parks, right? Like I just skated.
Yeah.
So, and then vert was this passion because I had this ramp that, a wooden vert ramp, like just 3 blocks away from the house I lived in. So I got to skate that a lot. And then that went away. So I was stuck with street skating and all this stuff. So I was able to, through these phases of my life, get different abilities. That, yeah. Right. So like I was able to get, okay, I need to skate street now because there's no other vert. So then I acquire that, and then as I went back to vert with a street background. So then it gave me more of the Danny and Colin as inspirations, on adding that. So eventually I was skating then through the anti-aero days, was skating mostly parks, with those guys traveling around and then the X Games, and all that, right. And then skating vert. And I was like, hey, I can actually, get good at this, but the particular, and I loved skating it. So then I was able to explore that as much as possible. I was at a point where it was just like, things were getting to the same old thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So then I'm like, I get bored pretty easily, so I need to do stuff. That's why I'm a pilot. Just because I need to get into different things where I get like, it's like boring.
Right? Switch, for instance,
learn to skate all over again. Right?
Yeah.
So that was that. So, but then eventually, the vert was there. I won all the contests and I could skate it and I'd win. So it's like, okay, how do I, where do I go? At the same time, that whole long jump thing was happening. There's an event over at Queen Mary, the Bart Simpson something long jump thing that it was just like a launch ramp with a landing, right?
Oh.
And then we would move the landing, and the landing was like pretty small. So when you made a mistake, you landed flat.
Oh,
so and then you come up short. It's really not really friendly to overshoot.
Okay.
And at that particular event, I remember there was this big rolling, and I was like, man, that's way too much speed for that. So I'd start up like a little short, and then, but the big rolling's there. So someone wants to, it's like someone's got to go on it. But I knew it was too much.
Right.
So, but I'm like, I'm going to go anyways, and I'm just going to try to slow down. And so I went and like depumped and then like landed almost at flat, but I just caught some transition. I was like, oh, okay, that was too much speed, but I went, and that's all I wanted, right? So then I kept skating. And then Gentry comes over, and he's like, I'm going off the top. I was like, Chris, dude, I just went. Don't pump. The thing's like way too fast. And he's like, it's got a heavier build. And he's like, no, it's good. And he's all like, adrenaline shot. And then he like goes down the thing. And sure enough, he pumps. Like, he's just like, and like, he just like, boom, goes past it completely all the way to flat. Like, and we're like, oh, and he puts his foot down. Like, boom, breaks his foot. Oh. Right. And just like, I mean, there's no other outcome.
Yeah.
And that was that. I didn't even have the heart to say, well, I told you so. I mean, you're going to broke his foot. It was just like, oh. And that, so it was the evolution of that. Once those things started happening, then we're like, okay. I remember talking to Danny. I was like, Danny, if this landing was like 10 times bigger, and then it was just like this evolution of like, oh, we need that. Then now it's 10 times bigger. But then at the same time, Danny's gotten through that Matt Hoffman big quarterpipe to skateboarding.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And we used to just do this jump and hit this mattress, right? It was like, it was jump that and then go all the way up until this wall.
Okay.
So there was no ending to it, so by Danny putting the quarterpipe at the end of it, then now you actually have what to do with all that speed.
Yeah. Right.
I have to
1,
jump
2,
into
3.
a wall. Now you have something to go to, right? So, and that's kind of like how that happened. So while we're doing the King of Skate contest, remember that back in the day where I did the open loop
Jeremy
and Danny,
Cove.
We'll talk about the open loop.
So then Danny he wanted to break the record of the long jump and the high air in one. That was his thing.
Okay.
He wasn't able to do it together, but he did it separately.
All right.
But he built that for that, right? So now he had that ramp, and he was able to kind of like fine tune it. And that was out at Point X at that camp.
Temecula.
Yeah, Temecula. So then I saw that, and I was like, yeah, I'd done the contest and did that open loop thing. But I looked at that and I was like, that looks like so much fun, because the open loop is one shot. Right?
Yeah.
Do it, get it done. There's no evolution of tricks. Oh, kickflip under it, did it. You know, it's just like,
Right. Well, maybe
there's certain things that are doors that are kind of open and close and shut.
Yeah.
You know, and other things are like, yeah, exactly. That's shut quickly. So, and then other things like the mega ramp are like doors that you open, and then just the opportunities for new tricks are like wide open.
So it just kind of came out of Danny Way's like mind of like, hey, I want to do a world record of long and then high, and then
Brought it to that competition, and then it was put together. And that was,
I think before that, Andy Mack tried to do like a long jump
that was
in
the long,
Michigan.
the long jumps, and that was the evolution of the 80s jump ramp.
Yeah.
And you know, you can ask Jim Thiebaud how his back feels after years and years of landing the flat, right? So adding the landing was like, and it also came with the X Games mix of like BMX box. Remember, like the people were skating, like all that. Yeah. So it was like, you know, things started happening to take it to that.
Right, they're doing these big things, and we could do that on a skateboard.
Yeah, but
like,
it needs to be adjusted. Yeah. So that's kind of like where that. And I think, you know, you can go bigger, you can do all that, but like there is a reality of physics that we can play in, and I think that it's in a pretty good place for progression.
Right.
Anything more than that is a one shot, and it's, you know, insane, and you got to prepare yourself for that. But like that's a good size to like continue to progress. That's why you've seen so much progression, because it's just kind of sit in a good place. Not enough people are skating, but that's kind of how I get it. I went to Point X, and I was just like, I skated it like once, had a hard time landing it, but not because I couldn't do it. It's because I was like afraid of the quarterpipe, you know, because I knew I was going to have a lot of speed, and that's the biggest issue with mega ramp is the first jump, right?
Oh yeah,
that first quarterpipe hit. You know, everyone will tell you that skated mega is like that was the scariest part, because you don't know what it's going to happen. The timing is different than vert,
and it's
huge. It's huge, and you can. And what usually happens is you do the trick before you need to do the trick.
Yeah.
So you go for a backside air the way you do them on vert. You're going to do a backflip, you know, on the quarter pipe. You got to wait, and then the coping, then wait, and then you keep going up. It's almost like an air on the extension. If you skate vert, like when you air the extension, and if you keep your body low, you know, then you're going to go to flat, you're going to get upside down, you know, so you have to keep riding up the wall and then hit, so you don't do that. So mega is kind of, is that, but you don't know until you
try
the first time. So so it took me a while to like, you know, I did every trick. It was like mute threes, all the threes, and I just would like put it down and then jump off, right?
Oh, really?
And I was like, okay, now I have to like, you know, I got to
put it
do
down
it one time, you know. So then I went, and you get scared, kind of do this like, you know, and you almost loop out, you know, and you're like, okay, oh my god, now you know. And then the next one's like, okay, then it's good.
Yeah.
Then it's mellow. So you have to go through that, and that's the issue with most people is like, that's when you see some pretty funny and some retarded and bad, not so funny at all slams.
Jeez,
Man, it's fascinating, you know?
That's wild.
God, I don't think I could ever. If I was going to just go down it, what advice would you give me?
Well, let's say,
tighten your trucks.
Let's say that as a street skater,
there's a diaper.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
post? Let's talk about Pat Duffy, because Pat's got that street skill, but he does have some transition skill.
Sure.
And Pat jumped. I mean, I think anyone could really jump the gap, right?
Like think so.
Yeah, like if you can go fast down a hill, right? And you got, you know, Heath went out there and jumped it. You know, like if you ride street and you got someone, you can do it. The problem is the quarter pipe. Right? That is, if you don't have that, and even if you have that skill, it is still an issue.
Yeah.
Right? Like Sandro Diaz, like his first hit at Point X, I mean, he did a full backflip loop, landed halfway down the quarter pipe, and he scared the shit out of him. I don't think he, like, one of the reasons he didn't skate mega that much might be that first experience.
Yeah.
Right? So, but that's a guy who has one of the best, you know, vert, like air skills, right?
Sure.
Going down like that. So if you don't So even if you do, that happens. So Duffy was like getting super close, and he was like, Indy air over it, and I wasn't thinking. I didn't think he was going to do it that afternoon and just come back next day because it was dark. Okay. So I was just talking to him about the how to make it and all this stuff, and then I got done with the session. It was starting to get darker and darker, and I went up to the pool and just kind of was like took my pads off, and then all of a sudden, I look, and then boom, he goes, lands, makes it, and I'm like, yeah, we're all screaming, but I was like, I didn't talk about the quarterpipe.
No.
And it was like there was zero conversation about the quarterpipe, what to expect, what to do, what not to do. Like, you at least have that, brief, and that was my like, and I was just hoping. And then he does what you don't do as well. He did the deep pump because there was a lot of speed. So he tried to do like, let me just, squat down. Yeah. Like, and so when he squatted down to deep pump, right when you get to the vert, it just becomes a spring.
No.
And you flew off the wall.
It's the opposite of what you want to do, but it's what psychologically, you feel like you want to do.
Okay.
And then he just goes, like flies out. And then I'm like, okay, he's, this is like, I'm like, if he just needs, that's low, but it's going to be good. And then he tries to run out.
My God.
So as soon as he puts his leg down, it was like, dude, it's like a chicken bone snap.
You're going so fast.
It was like a cross. And Mike, over there at my house, it's so quiet. And, we can have this conversation, and some of the neighbors, depending on how far down, because it just carries down the canyon.
Yeah.
And it was like snap, like a little like snap, and then like this craziest scream. And I was just like, oh my God, man. I go running out there, and it was just like, of course, like he actually, what happened is like he broke the bottom part of his leg, like, because his femur pressured down on his, and God. That snapped, right? There was a pressure on that broke his leg. So, he's there, screaming. I'm like, oh my God, okay, call the ambulance. Like, no, ambulance, I don't have insurance. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh.
That tripped me out. I was like, as a professional skateboarder, I don't care if you make $300 and insurance is $250, you make $50 because you have to have insurance.
It's very important,
especially in the U.S.
Yeah.
Maybe in Canada you don't, but you have to have it here. And I was just like, oh man, okay. How do you want to get to the hospital? And then he's like, just put me in the back of a truck. So I had the Dreamland truck, and we couldn't move. I tried to grab him, and it was like, he was just, any touch was like, So we laid a piece of like 3/4 plywood.
Oh no!
He laid over, and then we all carried that and put him in the back of the truck.
Oh my God!
And then drove to the hospital at Tri-City there.
Oh,
and it was full like, drive to the hospital, take him down, leave him on the ground, and
no, you didn't.
Yeah,
why?
We all peeled out because he was just like, I don't want it to be an issue, and it was just like we just dropped him off, and then
how did he get inside?
I know that's what hospitals, like the people are there
come
for,
out,
right? So they come out. He's in pain, and so. But what happened is probably ended up being the worst thing too, because he got like a crazy infection, and that's if Pat Duffy ever, has he come out here?
No.
Okay, Pat, you have to come out because I want to hear that.
I just saw him a couple of days ago. Yeah,
so, because I think he had some crazy infection because at Tri-City, and then his girlfriend, he was saying like his girlfriend was helping him like drain. It was just
remember he posted photos of his
just
shins
super
wide
bad.
open. It's like filleted.
Yeah. So it ended up being a triple injury post, all that. So, I always feel for that because it was like, I knew, he had the skill. He'd get away with just if he held his, leg over, and then he could, if he went again, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Now you got pads, now you know what's going to happen. It's that first, end up paying for it right away. So
now you tell everybody before, you tell them about the quarterpipe.
You know what happened was there's pre-Duffy and post-Duffy. Okay?
Sure.
There's pre-Duffy. It was constant. Hey Bob, want to come jump the ramp? Bob, he said, Bob, like everyone, right? Like all the guys,
wanted to try it.
Like Lizard King, everyone. And then it was hard to accommodate everyone. But it was just like whenever people was like, yeah, sure, then whatever. And then after Duffy, crickets. Like zero calls. Like it was like I didn't have to promote or say like no. It was just like okay. And then if there were any calls, it was like I just want to do the jump, and then jump off. So then Scheckler came, and a couple of ones just like, made the landing, and then, okay, I made it. You can see you made it, and then like jump off. So you
jump right.
And I do
so that's an
recommend
option.
That is an option. It's okay if you're a street skater.
Yeah.
I'll allow that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. If you skate vert, that is not allowed.
House rules.
You gotta hit the quarterpipe.
You're a true ramp keeper. You have your rules and everything.
Yeah. No, you cannot. That's like the roll in or get out, right? Jake Phelps?
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to do it.
If you skate vert, you have to hit the quarter.
Okay. So not that I ever would, but I'm bailing.
Yeah, you can definitely. No problem.
Have you ever watched anyone skating, Chris, in person?
Not in person.
It's a wild.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Well, we got to come out. I guess the next couple. Now the ramp's all nice and got new skate light.
Perfect.
Thanks, skate light. That was awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
got it.
That's
Yeah,
good.
so we're
That's
stoked. Yeah, so now it makes me want to film more. Because it was so.
Oh, maybe a new Bob part, huh?
Yeah, I hope so.
Hey, got to keep filming nonstop.
I was gonna ask them, when you guys film for your parts on that, do you guys film separately, or do you guys film together, like you and Danny Way, or do you guys keep your own little?
I feel like a session would be better.
A session is better, especially with Danny. I mean, I like filming. I mean, like I remember I kickflipped in from the deck of the quarter into the ramp. And I started doing these flip ends, and then when I skated with Danny, then if I'm trying this, he'd try something else, and then he tray flipped in.
Oh yeah.
So then when you skate with people like that, then I'm like, okay, you tray flip in. Then I'm gonna start thinking about other, and not just stay at I've done a kickflip.
Hypes you up.
So it's much better to film with people that are better than you.
It's funny you say quarterpipe, and I just immediately picture like a little small quarterpipe. But we're talking about
how tall is that?
It's a 28.
28 feet.
Oh my God.
It's a hell of a quarter.
I'll tell you what, though, I'd rather do stuff on that than on vert. Like the bails are much better. Like if I'm gonna hang up, I'll hang up. No
There's
problem.
more training to slide down.
Yeah, like you hang up and then you still have transition, right? Or if, like you can try to
more time to think about it.
Yeah, on
and
vert, when you take off, you got to know you got to decide your landing, right?
Do you ever think we're gonna see the day where there's gonna be like a mega park?
Well, it's money.
Yeah.
The ideas are there. Yeah. It's a lot of wood, and I would definitely shy away from concrete mega.
I was just about to ask.
I'm not creating over that, but I wouldn't mind creating over the roll-in, right? And the launch ramps, like maybe that is okay. But man, landing, and I can't even imagine a slam on Crete like that.
Oh no.
Yeah, trying to switch back tail on the rainbow, like with concrete below you.
Yeah, and a concrete ledge too would be kind of. Insane.
Yeah, like stuff like that is cool, but it's the landing part in the quarter that needs to be wood.
Concrete up that manual pad. It's all good.
Needs to be wood with spring or some kind of. I don't know, man. I think I wish there was less screws. Like we've tried a bunch of different, trying to figure out ways to maybe glue it, or because that's another issue. A lot of times the screws could really
pop
jack
out.
you up. Yeah.
Huh.
Bruno. I was like in the beginning, I was like, that's follow cam, right? I was like, Bruno, you gotta at least jump it so we can you can follow and jump and do all that.
Greg tonight.
Yeah. So we're trying to get him into that, and then he's going over the manual pad. He did that, and then on one of these just went boom, bailed, and then his knee caught on the thing, and he's just like, oh, no. And we're like, we go and oh, you okay? He's like, oh man, this is weird. And he pulls his knee pad down. Dude, it's like a 30+ stitch gash.
Oh,
and his knee just open. He never even he never rides the thing. I ride it more than anyone, and I've never gotten a slice like that. I've gotten cut.
Did it just slice his skin, or did it actually take off the kneecap too? Or
no, then it was. And the crazy thing is the knee pad was fine. I don't know where. I think it just got it caught it and went low, or something happened that it just and then that was the end of follow cam career for Bruno. Yeah. But
I can imagine.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that we're constantly on.
Checking.
It's screws.
What about just doing wood putty over it all? Or all screws?
Yeah, so because the screws we used, now we use screws that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So all new screws are like that, but I still have it's like the non. Because what happens to screws is they get with water. Yeah. They get. I wish I would have brought some. That's what was on my desk. I was actually going to bring some of the older screws.
Oh wow!
Just because they
they
get all rusted and then they pop the head, right? Mm-hmm. So then that rust part makes this point. So then the head of the screw has a point, right?
So it's popped. The head of the screw's popped off
after a while, but some screws stay there and they're just kind of there. You know, so all of those are just, I think there's like the...
What do you do? Like, is it like
screw
titanium
boom, the
or
old
something?
screw boom, it's been, you know, because now like a bunch of them are popping.
Okay.
And, you know, just because it's like they're all like rusting around the same time.
Yeah.
So when they pop, we just replace with new screws, but we just have to constantly like watch for that.
It's a hell of a job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It can be hard to remove just the
I mean, I
screw
got
top.
50 sheets of skate light from skate light, and it barely put a dent. Right, so it's just like patches here and there.
Oh
It's
my
50
God.
sheets of like 5x12s, you know, and you look at the Mega, they look like little, you know,
Little squares.
Yeah,
in the thing.
yeah.
Little
Was that
rectangles.
tiles?
like a patch,
Yeah.
you know.
Crazy, man. I'd love to come down there and just watch one
you should
day.
definitely come down.
If you're
and
gonna
check it
go
out.
out and have a little session,
Yeah.
you know, just
You guys do remote mini night
yeah,
clubs?
we'll come down there.
That
for
would
sure.
be fun. Yeah.
I'll bring my microphone and then interview you while you're back threeing that thing.
Well, let's make sure we get a newbie to do the live, you know, so we can get that experience.
Not it.
Not it. Holy shit, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
man.
listen, it's fascinating. We could talk about Mega all day long, but that's not all what you're about. You know, I mean, you grew up in Brazil, Rio or São Paulo. You were born in Rio.
Born in Rio,
Grew up in São Paulo.
Raised in São Paulo, yes.
Okay.
And moved around a lot. My dad worked with commodities, so he's like he was actually studying in Berkeley.
Oh.
And then he was either going to Ecuador or Brazil, mess with cotton or coffee, and we just kind of like, you know, figure out the market and like do the research, and then you know he brings it back to the company. So then he went to Brazil. He's like, oh, I'll stay here. So then he married my mom. She's from Minas Gerais. She's Brazilian.
Okay.
And then we lived like that was right around Rio time, and then he moved because this job was like, okay, now you got to go down south to Porto Alegre, where Luan is from.
Okay.
So I lived there for a year, and then we need to go back to São Paulo. Some of his jobs, and then go to São Paulo, do that, and then came back to the U.S. Lived in Pleasanton for a year.
Oh,
like
wow.
Kindergarten, like we're like real young. And then back to Brazil. So we did all this movement. Then my mom was like, okay, we're going to stop, you know, like, and then she's like, okay, we stay in São Paulo.
Oh,
and then he
gotcha.
moved to Rio. And then I was constantly changing schools, you know, so that to me was a bummer.
Sure.
Then now it was great because I'm okay. You know, I meet so many new people, you know, so it's like, it was definitely hard then as a kid, but it was a good school.
Yeah.
It almost got you ready for
Yeah, just constantly.
today.
Yeah, just I mean, I would like, you know, my mom dropped me off to school and be like, I'd go hang out on her leg. I'm like, oh man, new people.
I know.
You know?
For a kid, that's
Yeah,
hard.
and I was always more of like I like being on my own. My wife likes to say that I'm autistic, but you know,
Does she?
she's like you got like a tad of autism, and you know, I mean maybe who knows, but I do tend to kind of go inside, you know, a lot, and it's just like one of the things. But that it was like it helped me in going, all right, this. I really don't like moving around, but you know, then I would skate in different places, and once I
Right.
started skating, it was just like, okay, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Did you start learning like English and Portuguese like right off the bat?
I went to English speaking schools. Like I went to Pan American Christian Academy. I went to there for like a couple years. So it was in Brazil. So U.S. speaking, played baseball, and
Oh, okay.
you know the whole U.S. Culture down there. And then my dad would only speak English to me, even though if I'd speak Portuguese, he wouldn't answer. Kind of thing.
Really?
He knew what I was saying, but he would just like.
He wanted you to learn English as
Yes.
well.
And then my mom was Portuguese, so it was just, you know, back and
Back and
forth, and
forth.
everything had two names. You know, it was, and it was what it was.
Because you have no accent.
I'm a double agent.
Yeah, just double agent. Right. Now, if you speak Portuguese, obviously you have the accent and nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody's the wiser, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you're-
zero accent in both, thanks to mom and dad. So
That's crazy.
Wow.
Because I grew up with it, right? And like it was
Right.
like from the get go. So that, you know, I started speaking, things had two names. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Huh.
Yeah, but English was my second language, even though because I was, you know, obviously I grew up in Brazil, but you know, school was all Portuguese, you know, and then when I went to the American school, then that was English. And
Okay. And so how did you even get into skating out there?
I got into skating when, like, well, end of the, like 86 or so. Kind of like the boom, people were skating around, you know, like there was a lot of skateboarders, and then my neighbors, one of my neighbors got a board, and I'd always like there was one of my friend, Daniel is one of the guy who I hung out with the most. And so we would go out, we play soccer a lot, you know, obviously Brazil. And then I let him borrow, a soccer ball. Like he was one of my good friends. It didn't really matter. It's like he lost the ball or something happened. And I went over to his house and I was like, oh, where's that ball? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I let my buddy, something happened. He's like, but you can have this, you know? And it was like a mini fiberglass board.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know,
Skated home.
Yeah. So it was the perfect, you know, as a Brazilian, it was perfect to exchange a soccer ball for a skateboard, because it was the best thing that could have happened, you know, losing that ball.
Right.
You know, and then,
Imagine if he said, no, here it is.
yeah, here it is. Yeah, that's it.
Where would Bob Burnquist?
Neymar. I'd be playing with Neymar. And not even that, because I'm asthmatic, so I wouldn't even go anywhere. You know, Goalie, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was a goalie for a long time, because I guess from skateboarding and all the pain and that, and I wouldn't care. So I'd just throw myself and like grab so many balls. And the guys were like, they're always stoked. It's like, dude, he doesn't care. He's always so scared. Let's get him to be a goalie. And I was always small.
Oh.
Right. So the only reason I was picked as a goalie is because I was, you know, fearless in the sense, because like they're the other guys that are taller and, you know, and better. But that was another thing in skateboarding, because I played handball through the schools and I was the goalie. And we did the competition between schools, and because I was small, I was bench, right? So I was the goalie, but I was the bench. Didn't play one game.
No.
The guy, you know, was taller, and he was like, you know, the main. So he was always, you know, played every game. So we won the tournament, and they're all, you know, they pull us out into the, you know, to get the medal ceremony, and you know, medal ceremony, everyone gets a medal, and then the coach goes to, everyone's looking at the coach, put a medal on me. And I'm like, nah.
You said no.
No. And then he's like, you have to put the medal. He's like trying to be all like, you know, because everyone's like, I don't care. I'm not putting it on.
You didn't play one game.
I did not play, but obviously I was part of the team, you know, and I was there, but I was just in my head, there was absolutely no way I was putting that medal on. He's like, if you don't put it on, you're off. I'm like, good, because I'm done.
You know, one more season of sitting on the bench.
Yeah. I'm like, no, dude, this is it. And then that was that. Then put the medal over my you know, and then skateboarding just like, because it was like, okay, I'm skating. I bailed. It's my fault. You know, I landed a trick. It's your fault. My own merit.
I mean, it's your,
you know, obviously you get friends and you can't say it's alone, you know, it's like but it was way more in my control. Yeah. And that was like, okay, and it's creative, and it was way more of what I was, you know, into, and that just kind of locked me in. So I did a little bit, you know, a few more years, like, well, maybe a couple years of baseball still, because my dad wanted me to play. And I would, you know, every Saturday we'd go out there to the Japanese community, because they played, you know, baseball down in São Paulo, and I would sit there, and I'd kind of like, I noticed that, you know, I was really doing it for him, you know, and I'm like sitting there and going like, okay, it's been like, okay, for 30 minutes and I haven't touched this ball. You know,
sounds like you're a bench player no matter what sport you play.
No matter what, dude. And I'm out there, you know, outfield, and I'm like, okay, I could have been like skating for 3. I could have learned a couple of tricks at least all this time, you know, had so much more fun. And then it got to a point where I was like, Dad, like I have to just tell you, I don't like it.
Right.
I got to stop. You know? Right. So then he was like, okay, you know, then he saw that skateboarding was, you know, and then he was like, okay, go ahead. You know.
Little did you know that you'll be getting medals around your neck almost every year.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
Go ahead and put him on, because I broke bones for that one, so I'll take it.
It's amazing. Yeah. And then growing up, I mean, you said you did half pipe and then street and all this stuff. Wasn't Lincoln Ueda a big part of your coming up and your inspiration? Yeah,
Lincoln was a big part of pretty much all Brazilian skateboarding inspiration. I mean, he was like, well, him and his dad, you know, he had his like team, like he'd always show up, you know, and then his dad would film everything, you know, and his dad was really into motors, like cars and race cars. So they had Ueda motors. He had the stickers like Ueda motors, and he'd always film. And Lincoln was, he just progressed so quick, but he was so young and so focused, you know. And when he skated vert, like when the ramp I said that was 3 blocks away, I would like after school I would stop by. And it's just so close, you know. I just stop by, and then there's like, you know, the session going on. Then Sergio Negao, frontside 540 guy, you know, he was skating. Lincoln, a couple other Brazilians. And I was just like, couldn't believe how good this kid was. I mean, Lincoln was like this little kid.
He was better than everybody.
And just so much better than everyone, and focused and consistent. You know, there's no bailing. It was just like ta. You know, like just solid everything. And I related to that obviously. There was this other kid from the south called Leo Caquinho, who is V Caquinho's dad.
Who's that?
V Caquinho skates with Pedro Barros. Okay. He's at the Park Series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
like he does the backside revert around the corners. Like he's kind of like he's really good at like at skating. You know the park just transitioned now, and his dad is one of my idols.
No way.
You know, so his dad, you know, now they build parks, and they're just constant with Pedro's dad, Andre. But that's kind of like those were my inspiration. So Lincoln was just this competition, you know, killer. You know, he would go in and he'd win almost all of them, and then he went to Germany for those like Titus contests, the world, those like the Münster. Yes. Yeah. And at the time, he was sponsored by Bones, which was the fake Bones, right? So Pirate Bones in Brazil, like market, like clothes. You know, like there's no. Like all pirated
a lot of
shirts.
bootleg stuff.
Yeah, all of the bootleg stuff, right? But I mean, for us, we didn't know what that was. It was just like, oh, there's that brand,
right?
So they sponsored. And I remember they showed up. You know, I didn't go, but they told me stories of like them showing up. I think it was like '89, and all the skaters wouldn't allow them to skate, right? So the heats, like the Brazilians, like they had like practice heats, and they would always put the practice heat of the Brazilian at like whatever 1 a.m. right? And then like all the guys would keep skating, and then right when it was time for the Brazilians to start, the lights come off or something. Like it was like this weird.
Why?
And,
what was going on?
And because of the bootleg stuff, right? Like and going like, oh, these guys but just and the language barrier. You know, and
but they're punishing you guys for something that you don't even.
Yeah, but they don't know. We don't know, or what the. You know, it's just that, right? And obviously, after a little bit, then we find out, and then we know, right? Then it's like, oh, okay. Then a lot of things started changing. But what Lincoln said is like, and what was so inspiring was that they barely got to skate. They were vibed out all the time, you know, just constantly just look down and just put aside or whatever, and. Then when it was time to skate, he skated and qualified third.
Oh, wow.
Which was unheard of to get in the mix of those back, you know, the top 10 of vert those days. That was solid, right? Yeah. It was Kendall, you know, Bod Boy, like all those guys. I mean, there's no locking. And he made it through and like in third place, you know, and we're just like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And then I guess through the finals, he ended up in fourth. But that was like the biggest. I remember I was in a cab in Brazil. And then I had just gotten the skating magazine, right? And he was on the cover, and it was like fourth place in Germany or whatever. And I was just telling the cab driver, I was so proud. I was like, dude, this kid, like, you know, you know, I'm his friend, and he just got fourth. And then and I remember when he did that, all of us were like, oh, okay, we can do it too.
This is possible.
Yeah, it's not like you have to be American or because there's this feeling around the world. Now it's gone. It's, you know, because the world rips. Yeah. But world rips. It used to just be like, I mean, it was like U.S., maybe Canada, obviously Europe had, but like U.S. was so dominant that we're just thinking like, okay, you'd have to, and how do we Brazilians way down here get to be as good? So Lincoln showed us that you can, right?
Wow.
So that was really where I was like, oh, okay. You know, I believe, you know, and I became the biggest, like, just like whenever people, you know, because we all played the game, like, okay, I'm Tony, Steve Caballero, you know, I'm Lance. And I was like, I'm Bob. You're Bob. And then they're like, no, but you have to be someone. I was like, I'm Bob.
I'm Bob.
Yeah. And I made this thing is like, but I obviously loved all those guys.
Of course.
But I was just making a point when even in these games, I was just like, dude, we are who we are. We gotta be us. Yes. And then that was. And I had that mentality, and you know, and
you're definitely
it's crazy because it's definitely
now people are trying to be Bob.
Me and a million other Bobs. You know?
So when all that started happening, did you start entering contests, or were you already doing that in Brazil?
Well, I skated.
How old were you at this point when he won the contest?
When he won, I might have been 89. I was already skating for like 3 years.
Huh.
I gotta say, I wasn't skating. I mean, I hadn't really skated any amateur contests. I think I was just like maybe a couple of events, and then that happened.
Okay.
But I had already known of him. I wasn't his friend, and I went and watched the sessions, right? And then as I skated and progressed more, then we connected.
Gotcha.
Even though that doesn't mean like Lincoln would talk to you no matter what skill level. He's just that. But in some circles, you have to like, win
you
your
weren't
way.
peers yet.
Yes,
you were,
exactly.
Right.
I'm just like, okay, there's Lincoln. And then, so the first contest I skated was a age thing. It was like until, 13 and then 13 to 15,
okay. So you were in that age range.
I was like 11 or 12, I think. And then I skated with I was already had somewhat of a transition skill, but I skated like an age where most of the guys didn't really have that. So I won easily.
Wow.
Just by skating. And it was just, did some tricks. And it was a mix of like, skating the street course, which is a really cool contest looking back. It was like a vert ramp transfer, right? So there's a vert ramp here, vert, and then a mini ramp, and then a full street course right here. And we had to skate this part. So it was like the vert ramp and the mini and the street.
Wow.
So I put this line together that I went everywhere, right? But I did like 3-4 walls on the vert because I had that skill. And then I came over and did the street and kind of did that.
You weren't even supposed to go over there though.
I didn't need to. No, but you had to use. Yeah, you had to use all of it.
Oh, you had to use
but
all of it.
most guys were like in my section, they were like mostly skating the street, and then because I had that vert skill, then I touched the vert ramp a few more walls, right?
And you won.
And then I was like, this is easy, man.
I got this.
Yeah, like what? This is insane. Yeah. Like skateboarding, this is what I'm going to do, and I actually had these, I went on, on a trip. It was like the first, one of my sponsors there, they were like, hey, we'll go. And it was like we took a cart, my mom allowed, me to go with them. And so we did all that. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I've kind of like that ego kind of, and the arrogance, comes in, and that's, that's what I mean. Like when that happens, like you're about to get corrected. So second event, I was like, something happened. I did something at home, and my mom's like, you're not skating, but I'm taking your board away.
Oh, you got punished.
Yeah, but she found real quick that now she can punish me. Before it was just like, I don't care. Now it's like, take the board away. Now you're like, okay, now this is serious. I got my attention, right? So I'm like, okay, she's got my board. All right. Hey, I need to get a board. So I put a board together, right? So some crazy wheels, some trucks. It wasn't my board that I skate all the time, but I was like, I'm just going to go skate this contest. And I had like crazy asthma attack, and I'm asthmatic. So it was always hard. So I was just like, okay, so I go to this event, but now it's an amateur event. So now I'm skating with more of the guys that can ride. I'm not on my board. And I have an issue with my breathing, and I go out there and I skate, and I get like 32nd place or something, like second to last or something. And I was just devastated. Like it
brought you back down.
It brought me back. I mean, it was exactly what I needed, but I didn't, believe so at the time. And it was just like, this is crushing. So I'm like, okay, there's that adjustment. So then now I'm scared.
Oh, now you're scared.
Now I'm scared because I don't want, now I want to like, because at first I was like, oh, I won, so this is easy. And then now it's like, you got second to last place, so it's not so easy.
You can blame the board.
So now it's scary. Yeah, I can say that. But what happened was the next contest, my dad took, it was like a street contest somewhere, and my dad took me there. So when I was skating the event, I started skating like I was goofing, because if I goofed, then you wouldn't
be taken seriously, and the losing wouldn't hurt as much.
Yeah, so I did that, took my runs, and I was just kind of goofing around, messing around, and I was laughing, and it was all good. And then on the way, when we're all done, we're walking back to the car, and my dad would not talk to me. He's just like giving the straight face walking, and I'm like, Dad, what's up? Like just and it took a few more steps. We're going, and he turns around, and stops, and was like, listen. If I'm ever going to bring you to a contest, or like if we go, don't ever do that again.
He wanted you to try.
He just tried. And if you don't want to, we won't come. But if you come out, then you have to want to do it, because And at first I was upset that he was upset, and then I was sad, and then I realized what he was trying to say. And then I made, so from then on, when I went to skate an event, I was like, okay, all right, what's the strategy here? I skated to win.
Yeah.
But it's not like if I didn't win, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't that crazy about it, but I went to win. So like I do that to this day.
Yeah.
Like even though, I could be like, oh, I'll just chill. I'm like, no, I'm not chilling. If I'm chilling, I'm staying home and I'm learning a trick. If I'm not going to skate a contest, if I don't want to, then I'll stay home and I'll focus on something else.
Right.
But if I go, I'm going to give it like everything. I'll break bones and I'll keep going.
Seriously.
That's because of that moment of like, if you go, you're going all the way, So my decisions now, when I decide, it's like, there's no stopping until I get through it.
Isn't that funny? That one moment in time.
It's that little, like, the one event, and there's the 3 events that gave me.
But it was your dad too, just being like, you gotta like, parents give it your all.
Totally. Don't embarrass me like that. It wasn't like goofing, because he's like, he wants to watch me compete, and he's there, he takes me there.
Proud
and I'm
dad.
like, messing around. And he's like, early grab air on the thing. I mean, it might be funny for us as friends, like to our friends it was funny, but he wasn't having it.
Wow.
So where are you at this point in time where you're getting sponsored, right? You're, is there a board sponsor now in Brazil?
Let me see, at that time. No, I watched Muska's episode, so it's okay to fragment.
Oh my God, for sure.
I'm like, all right, I'm not sure.
You're doing great, yeah.
So, but yeah, so that my sponsor, when I saw like being sponsored to me was like getting something for free. It didn't have necessarily money. Cristiano, who's the owner of that park, Cristiano Mateos from Urgh Skate Park, he had a brother, Luciano, and we skated together all the time, and we were skating the mini ramp and together, and then all of a sudden this guy shows up. The name of the company was Momento Angular Moment.
Angular Moment.
It was clothing, right? So he watched us skating and he was like, "Oh, hey, that'd be cool. You guys want to get some, like a product, some sport?" And I was just like, "Whoa, what? Like I get some free stuff, and that'd be insane." So him and I, like Luciano and I, went over to the guy's place and we got a bunch of clothes, and that was my first
Free
sponsor.
stuff.
Yeah, like where I got some free clothes, and it was super cool. Luciano and I hung out a bunch. He ended up dying in a car accident, which was really hard for a lot of us, and it was like one of the closer friends. And it was like he was at a party, and he was gonna go. He wanted to ride home or something, and the guy's like, "Hey, you can ride with me or whatever." So he's in the front seat, and the guy's starts racing someone else.
Oh no!
Oh, gosh.
So then they flip the car. Hits. He didn't die there. He got in a wheelchair, like he got like broke his back or something.
No.
And I think he decided not to go on. Like I think it was one of those like just his world ended. Because I remember seeing him afterwards, like in the wheelchair. It was just like, dude, just done. Like because you can will to live, and you can will to die just as much.
Sure.
And I feel like that he kind of gave up on that. And it wasn't necessarily complications. I don't know the deep story to that, but I know that when you give up, it's pretty much a go, right?
Yeah.
So, so that went down, and so that kind of, and it's cool to have this moment with him, and then Cristiano went on to skate a bunch, and we've progressed a bunch skating, but he, that was my first sponsor. Then right after that, there's these two twin brothers, Marcelo and Mauricio. They had this company called Slide, and it was accessories. Okay. And they were super cool. They're like really good vert skaters, super rad dudes, and older, and they actually like moved out to Texas. They live here for like long, like ever since right around then, like when we got sponsored, they moved out.
Oh, they
were
did?
the first, the Brazilians that kind of like moved out. And so they're the ones who took me to the contest in the car, and a blue Brasilia, like Volkswagen old ass car. Okay. It was super cool, and it was such a rad trip, and they're so supportive. But that was, I feel like that was like the legit, like their accessories, and they were the brothers that skated. And then when they wanted me on the team, I felt like you know, it's one thing if it's an outsider in the clothing company just kind of watching you and it's cool.
Yeah.
But now you got like actual like skaters there, and they're going like, hey, that, you know, we'd love to have you on the team.
Showing some support.
Yes, and doing that. And I kind of like when I was younger, I was just like, okay, you know, if someone offered me like $50 more, I'd be like, okay, I'll jump on that. You know, like I'd make that calculation. Like there's no like, just like I moved like, and then from Slide I went to Urgh. And I always wanted to ride for Urgh.
Okay.
Urgh was like they were like a board company that Leo Caquinho rode for, and that was his, you know, was my idol. Oh. And then there's like one of the strongest brands for over 30 years. They're still around. George Kuji is the owner. We're still friends to this day, and he still does it, which is incredible.
Amazing.
But then once that got available, I was like, went right to it, you know, and then some other company, Kush, which is the direct competitor, they're doing a sponsored event, and they're like, oh, I'll pay for your something. And I was just like, oh, get over there.
You're jumping teams.
I'm like just full jumper, right? Like and then I remember George was like, always like so pissed at me. And,
oh, no.
You know, and over the years, like we have this conversation, and then that ended up, and I went back on Urgh as I got older. You know, I was like, hey, George, I messed up, man. You know, I'd love to be back in the program and help you out. You know, and he got me to Canada, right? To the 1995
Slam City.
Slam City.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, and before we barely had money. It was just a lot of product, and then he just worked so hard to get that ticket, you know, just to get me to go.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and it was cool. And I was kind of right before then. I had gone, you know, Jake and Julian and Cardiel and all those guys went to Brazil. I had visited, you know, San Francisco for a month, and then I went back to Brazil. So they invited me to Slam City. They said, hey, you should go. But, you know, then I had the ticket. So then George helped me out, and we kind of put it all together and went. But that's kind of like, so those sponsors early on, I was like, you know, jumping around a bunch, but you know, I think they realized that I was young. And they're cool about it. So
right. But is Slam City kind of where everything started taking off for you? Like you said, like this was like what?
95?
Yeah.
Yeah.
90 skate for Etnies.
Yeah. What happened was like, I was, see, in Brazil, I went all the way to pro. Like I was pro.
For Urgh.
At 15.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Or younger even, 14, 15.
Wow.
Like, and because I qualified first into a vert contest, like all the top riders, and it was like pro. It was like an open.
Okay.
So it's pro-am, and then I skated and qualified first. Then ego got in the way, right? Because I qualified first. I like show up, you know, next day. I'm like, you know, it's just a hot shot. Then I end up in 8th place because I bailed everything, you know. No. But at least it showed me. And again, those adjustments are great. The ego adjustments are awesome. Yeah. You know, so they suck at the time, but they, you know,
in hindsight,
they're always better for you.
It's a good, everybody needs an adjustment.
Totally. And it was like, I turned pro, and it's really funny because in Brazil, it was like, okay, pro-am contest, you're in 6th place. Do you want the check or not? Right? I obviously wanted the check.
Of course.
You know, but then it meant that I turned pro. Right. So, and it was like, okay, well, then I'm pro. Like, give me the check. So then that's kind of like how that happened.
You turned yourself pro.
I turned myself pro by accepting the money.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, but all the other, there was a lot of amateur events there. So then it was just like, then now most of us had gone pro.
So you couldn't go back to the amateur events, obviously.
No.
You got just pros. Now, are they giving you a board now on Urgh? Or they?
Yes, I had a board. Now my first board was on Urgh. Yeah. And that was super cool. Oh. It was this little, what was it? It was like a little chipmunk at this board with his hands in his pocket, kind of walking around.
Bob Burnquist.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, you have all these. I'll take that one. You know, and it was cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So that was my first board. It was an Urgh board, and I had done a video part. So Cristiano Mateos from the Ultra Skate Park I just mentioned, he had this video magazine called Silly Society. And it was kind of like our 401.
Gotcha.
He did it for like, you know, did a few of them.
I think so, yeah.
And then, and right before that, we did a movie. Dirty Money was our little group. Yeah.
Oh,
so that was the first Brazilian skate video.
Dirty Money.
Dirty Money. Yeah. It was a company, and then it was first the video, and then it was like, you know, the VHS, you know, record to put your parts together. Yeah. mouse click drawing of your name, just filled up. Like, so, and I had done that part for for Dirty Money. So then it got to a point where I was like, okay, let me put an actual, like a good part with Silly Society. And it was right at 93, 94.
Okay.
And then, so when I came to the U.S., when I met, Jake down in Brazil and all those guys, I had that tape, so I had just put that out.
Kind of your sponsor.
So it was
tape.
a sponsor me tape, but it was like, no, this is a video magazine that I already in, and this, this is my skateboarding,
right?
So then that kind of like got me the attention, and then they're like, hey, you should come out, and Jake, Phelps was always saying like. He was such he was such an inspiration and such a motivator in my, he was always saying that because he saw where I was from, and he saw that whole mentality of like, it's easy because you're from another country, so you can think you're less of just because you're thinking all the industry's there, all the big pros are there, so those guys are better.
Yeah.
But he was always like, and all that mentality of like, I'm Bob thing. He was always like making sure that I kept that strong, because he would say like, dude, you can be on any company you want. You can get on Plan B. Who do you want me to call? And I was just like, no, it's all good. I just want some, I liked the crew there. Like, I met Tommy and Jim and all those guys, and, Julian already was skating with John and Julian all the time. So hung out at there. That was wild. And just hung out for a month there in San Francisco on 19th and Mission.
Crazy.
And I got the full jolt of madness, but raw skateboarding, right? So that to me was like, oh, okay,
right.
I see what this is about, right? Like, just skate anytime, all the time. Always have your board, no matter what.
Right.
There's no I'm street, I'm this, I'm that. It's like you just skate.
You skate,
right? So that kind of that mold. Was there, but anyways, it was just that's kind of how I got that push. So when I was there with Jim and them, they were like, hey, we'll give you boards, right? Like, so it was like deluxe, so it was like real and all this stuff. So then I had a little photo and they put it somewhere in the catalog, whatever, and it was like Bob Burnquist, a real amateur, right? And I was just like, amateur, what the hell? Like,
they just said
yeah, I'm pro. Like I know I've probably been pro in Brazil. Like, what is it? Doesn't count. Like in a whole other
the Chipmunk
country.
board. I mean,
yeah,
what's
like
going
what's
on?
up? You need a board? I got boards. Like, but that was just how it's just like, so I had to step in, and that was weird to me. But ego check is great.
There you go.
So it was like, what matters? It's just it's how I skate, and then whatever. That's just a name. But that was like, okay, so you have to be you're coming in flow, and then.
There's steps to it,
right? So then they're like, okay, then they gave me a bunch of boards, and I was like, well, I want to make some money. Like, let me get a bunch of stuff and take to Brazil, and I'll sell, right?
You told that to Jim.
Oh yeah, I was like, like in my mind, I'm going amazing. Like I can move, and
the
Jeff,
conversion
and Jeff Clint, right? So, and I was like, okay. I'm going to go to Brazil. I need all the stuff, and so I was like, he's like, yeah, just go over there and grab some stuff. So he had no idea, right? So I go in there and I grab like $6,000 worth of like, gear. Just box
like you're
boards.
not taking anything else back.
No, I'm going like 2 double board, like, boxes with
20 something
wheels and everything, right? Like just packed, just like, and I go in there and then he looks at he comes in, because I was just about to walk out, and he comes in, he's like, yo, Bob, what the fuck? Like, and I was like, no, I told you, I'm taking this to Brazil. He's like, how about, I was like, dude, I'll pay you in a month, right?
Oh, you said you're paying back?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm buying this stuff, right, at cost. I gave him the, like, this stuff I'm buying,
What?
And then I'm going to pay, but I want this in, like, I'm not going to give you the money now. Right,
I'm good for it.
Yeah, I'm good for it. Right, so I'm sponsored, right, by you guys, so I'm good for it. I kind of used everything I could to get that, and so I took it to Brazil and made like $10,000, right? And then I came back and gave him 5, and I had 4 in my pocket. I was just like, oh, this is what I do now.
I'm an importer exporter.
No, I'm I'm contraband. I'm starting my own company.
Wow.
So I did it a couple more times, and then I got stopped at like customs in Brazil. The guy goes to open the box, and then like all these wheels.
What do you have
fall
all
on
these
the ground.
Spitfires for?
No, it's just so many wheels on the ground, right? And he's like, oh, so what's this? He's like, oh, I'm a professional skateboarder. He's like, yeah, but that's a lot of wheels. Well, I use a set of session. Like when we skate, like I'm like, I had
You're
this
just
whole story.
bullshitting the whole thing.
He's looking at me going like, he knows that I'm stretching it, but he was just like, dude, this kid, so he's like, all right, man. They put it back in, and I made it through. But then that's not a sustainable business, right?
No.
That's not really going to work out that way. And but I did it a few times, and it was cool. And then, but those guys were always super supportive. So that's kind of like how I got into that
camp.
That camp. And then Julian was like, "Hey, I'm going to start a company. Like, you want to be with us?" And I was like, "Yeah." He didn't even tell me which. I was like, "Yeah," because I knew them, Julian and John and those guys. I met Jim and Tommy, and those guys are super cool. Like, I was with those guys. So if they say, "Hey, we're going here," it's like, "All right, let's go." So then he gave me a Bukowski shirt. It was like a portrait of Bukowski and Antihero, kind of like just written.
Sick.
And I was like, "Oh, this is sick." Definitely super amped. And then when I went to Slam City, I was already Antihero. I had a real board.
Okay.
I had a Max Shaft, which Vert Reynolds board. Vert Reynolds Max Shaft board, and with Antihero stickers, Antihero. Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of.
So you were there at the beginning of Antihero.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Crazy.
The start. Yeah. So it was Antihero before it was Antihero. Kind of like it was like that group. That's what I was really stoked on. It was like it was a thing before it was, a thing.
Yeah,
Sure. So I guess Etnies was around then, and then S, because you got on S.
Yeah, who did I write?
Maybe a year.
I wrote for Etnies for a little bit, and then they were like, we're going to start a company, and then pulled me over to that.
To S.
Yeah.
Right.
Don Brown and Pierre. I met Don. Don was like, he showed the face more. Pierre, like every now and then I saw.
A little behind the curtain.
Yeah, behind the curtain. And Don was just still is the most amazing guy.
Oh, yeah.
Super
Is he
funny.
riding escalator on his hands or something?
Yeah, he's doing that.
Just doing all of
I'll tell you what he
tough
was
guy
doing.
shots.
What tripped me out one time, we're in Brazil, and then he's like skating around doing freestyle, and then a dildo falls on the ground. So he was like, he had a dildo through his like zipper, faking like his dick was out, and then he does a trick and his dick falls off. And then I was just like, what the fuck? And he just
Sounds like Don.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then that was just the beginning. There's so many Don stories. I mean,
Oh my God.
we're in Paris. Like we had, and Mike Valley was with us, and so we're out having dinner, and first he throws something at me. We're eating, and then he throws food at me.
Okay.
And I'm like, I look and it's Don, all giggly. I'm just like, okay. Like grabbed this full lobster leg that I had. I just like tossed it across the dinner. I mean, this is Paris restaurant.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I tossed this lobster tail, and it hits him right in the forehead, just like boom. And I'm just like, everyone's laughing, da da da. And all of a sudden he's looking at us, dude. And then like his head starts like popping.
Oh no.
Weird allergy.
What?
So he's allergic to seafood or something.
No way.
Shellfish.
Yeah, exactly. So he starts like, oh my God, he starts like tripping out, and we're like, dang. Like, so we kind of like rush out of that situation. He had to like leave wherever he goes wash. And I was like, shit, I'm sorry, Don, but that was funny. But then I was like, you started it, man. Like,
Right.
So we're like, we're laughing, and then we're like, oh man, this is serious. And then he's like, he goes and cleans, and then we walk out of the restaurant. And obviously we had a few drinks already. And then once we walk out, he's doing this, and then he comes out and he pulls an Indian head that was on the that was on the restaurant wall. So he stole this like Indian, puts it under his shirt. Sorry, Don. I mean, it happened.
Amazing.
So I'm like,
Meanwhile, his face is
I'm
like
worried about you,
right?
And you're like pulling the Indian. I guess that was it was alibi. Everyone's like thinking about that, and he's like went out there and like grabbed that.
That was probably the only thing he was thinking about. Was like that Indian
and
head.
so we walked out, and I see that, and we're laughing. And then Mike and I look at each other. And I was in my wild anti-hero mode, so it's just like we started jumping over cars, and then Mike and I were just like roaming through Paris. Yeah, but Don, man, that was that was a classic Don move.
How did you feel when they asked you to ride for S? Did you have like any doubts of what was going to happen with that brand, or did you feel pretty confident?
Because of my early brand jumping experience, you were fine with it. Sure, yeah, that sounds fun. Yeah, like it was. I mean, plus it was like, oh, you're going to be on a team with Costin, Chad Muska.
Oh my God.
I'm like, nah, I don't think that's cool. I was just like, what? And I'm the vert skater.
Yeah.
So back then, it was almost like, I mean, not many vert guys had that in, right? So like if you like most teams had a token vert guy, right? But like to be on S and be vert, you know, was like it was just super cool because I know how you know it was. I mean the street cred and all. I mean it's just like what it was. So I guess because of my D-Way, Comic inspiration, like background of street skating, vert, and just skating different, obviously with anti-air too. So it wasn't just vert. It was like this whole. Then I was able to fit in to these companies and you know to be on Flip now and to be
that's right.
So I know that's a big part of that. So I was always grateful of that. So just to be a part of a team with those guys. I mean, S was like a super cool experience. So many rad trips and
Menikmati. I mean,
Menikmati filming that, having the opportunity to put a part out like that with those guys. Exactly. Yeah. Jeremy Ray street session. That's what that was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Jeremy Ray.
And we were out there skating. And he took us to school or whatever, and you know he was getting on the ledges super easy,
right?
Like it was nothing, and I just wanted to do something, like, and then I get reality checked. But yeah, that was cool. But S was like a really cool time, especially with you know like with Chad Muska here, and I was listening to his stories, and you know we I remember we went to South Africa for an S tour, and I had. What did I do? Oh, I went to Hawaii, went surfing, and then like the board got caught in the wave, and then came back on my toe, so it like almost cut my toe off.
In between the
it just got the
like
man,
the web.
the fin,
the
just,
web,
like it just got right there, and it was hot, like cold water, whatever, and then I come up and I was like, my foot, so it felt like a punch, and then I look. And my pinky is like dangling down.
Oh, no.
And I'm bleeding and I'm in Hawaii. I'm going like, okay, I'm out of here, right? Yeah. So I'm paddling out and I'm telling everyone, hey, I'm bleeding, I'm out. I'm bleeding, I'm out. I'm bleeding, you know, so I just get out and, you know, handle that, you know, sew it up at the hospital. And then it was like right after that, it was our trip to South Africa. So I couldn't really skate.
Right.
But so we show up at this demo, which is the reason why I dropped in barefoot on that vert wall. Because I had stitches on I couldn't put shoes on. So I was like, I'm going to get something on this trip. You know,
ended up getting an opener for
I know.
Wow. I was like, I'm going, man. I got this. I got this. You know, so I mean that was that. But just the surrounding of it, like just being in South Africa, it was so. We stayed at this hotel or this
resort or something.
Resort kind of place, and they had these like geese, these white, you know, and it was like just
swans?
like swans, and then all the people who worked there were black, so we were off, like, you know, all of us, you know, rare whites, you know, even though there's whites, but it's just like, you know, where we were, so you can feel the tension, right? Okay. You just felt it. I mean. Cruising, I had crazy experiences just cruising around there and just people looking at you like, what are you doing? Like, you know, just wild. And then, so, you know, we're out this resort, and then Chad was, you know, it's Chad.
Yeah.
He's just out there. So they're going like, this kid, you know, I mean, I don't know if they knew what to think of him, but obviously we're messing around in the hotel. So they're going, all these guys, they come over to South Africa and there's just disrespectful.
Acting wild.
Just, you know, wild times, you know, and as much as I can sit down and understand, you know, you're out in another country. So you kind of have to like, okay, just kind of tread lightly. But there's no such thing. There's no limit. Right. You know, it's so rad to see him now because he's in such a great place, such a rad dude. Yeah. He was always rad, but he was out there, you know, and then, but so
party mode.
Exactly. And so we're Jamie Thomas was there too. That was a wild, it was a mix of a trip.
Krieger was there too, right?
Yes. Krieger was there, Costin. So I don't know if it was like an S Etnies or a Soltec like mix.
Sick.
So, we wake up the next day and there's all this commotion. Like, oh man, and Chad's tripping out, and he's like, dude, the chupacabra was here last night.
The chupacabra? What?
I'm like, what are you talking about? And we walk out into the, you know, the nice garden of this resort, and there's like blood all over the place, and there's just like the swans are like beheaded.
No.
Like bad. It was just so insane. Like I was just like, dang, dude. Like I even sat down and kind of prayed and just kind of put myself around and just kind of was just like just trying to protect what was going on, you know. And it was so wild, man. And the people there, I mean, I don't know if they think that Chad did it.
They did, okay.
Or it was just like there was this feeling of like these guys.
Weird vibe,
right?
Oh yeah.
And then there was this feeling of like you know, maybe the community was kind of harsh, you know, it was in a wild place. And then, you know, something was done at night against us, you know, some religions use the animal sacrificing and so it was just awkward, man. It was just really a weird deal. And I remember being there and just like going, man, like this is insane, Chad. We were just like, dude, I was like, I know you didn't do it. Like,
Chad's like,
you're weird,
no.
but you're not mean. You're not a bad person. So like that. So you like, but we had to leave. Like it was like a situation. I was like, okay, that's that for that place. But there was like so many, you know, cruising around there. Like I remember we're in this van and we stopped to get street, you know, like art or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we're talking to this person, and then all of a sudden there's like a group of guys coming from afar, and they're kind of, you know, start running, and we're looking and like, dude, these guys are coming towards us. Like, so Chad's like, we got to get in the van. Like we're all running towards the van, and these guys are running, and then we get in the van just in time and like peel out. So it was constantly in danger, it seemed like, over there. You know, where we were going or the situation or
crazy
or whatever happened. And land, I remember landing there. It started we were like getting to South Africa. We're about to land in like Coston and we start talking about like weird landings or flights, right? That we've had.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I've never had something that bad. Oh, this happened.
No.
And like, so people around us are going like, shut the, like, you know, like, why are you guys talking about this?
We're not even on the ground yet.
Yeah. And we're just like, and we noticed that people didn't like that we were talking about it. Oh, and you remember that one time? And so we escalated the volume and the stories, right?
Oh, you seriously did?
Yeah. We started like going, oh, well, this one time. Yeah. And then Chad said something and then we're about to land and the plane just goes, it goes full to the right. I've never had a landing like that on a big plane, right? And just kind of goes like, almost touches the wing on the ground.
On the ground.
And with one wheel, and then goes to bang, boom, boom.
Oh my God.
And then Costin, we all look at each other. Silence, like, oh my gosh, did we just do that? Like, and everyone's looking at us mad. And of course we didn't. That was the pilot, dude. Like, but
of course.
That was very not good timing on the stories, but like
didn't start the trip off well.
That was kind of the beginning of that whole madness.
Crazy, dude.
We survived it. I mean, I walked into a 7-Eleven, there was a pool of blood.
Oh, what?
You know, and I was barefoot because my
your
toe. Yeah.
So and I walked out to get some water, and then I turned the corner. There's just like pool of blood. I almost stepped on it with my you know. And I was like, oh shit, just walked back. Wow. And they're saying, oh, this guy just got stabbed, and the guy running like this whole
doesn't sound like you guys were in the best part of town.
No, this sounds
we were moving around, but it was like that was a wild trip, man. But we went to the safari. It was super cool. Like, you know.
Well, if you watched that section, you would never think that stuff happened.
That stuff. Yeah.
Looked like you guys were
I wish I would have filmed all that. Yeah.
Seriously.
Hey, it was memorable.
Yeah.
We had good times.
Oh my God, bro.
I wanted to ask something actually.
Please go ahead.
Well, because we're all talking about S and like
Always gonna be about S.
No, S is tight, dude. Especially in his era that he was on it. But you had a shoe on there that was actually really amazing. Do people ask you about that a lot, or like? Because I heard that was like kind of one of the first shoes that either had an air pocket or a sock for a skate shoe.
I mean, I get sent like, you know, photos of them, like, oh, I found this or whatever. Do you have more of those? Like, I have some saved at the house there, but the thing with the shoes and that you know, that I had this hard head about getting what I felt like I needed, you know, to perform and to like make the best out of, you know, my ankles are always messed up.
Functionality.
Yeah, functionality as opposed to sales, you know, and eventually, obviously, I learned that you got to have a mix of both. You know, but you know, I put my foot down on that one, and it was, you know, my favorite shoe, you know, to skate in. It was a little on the warm side, but I to this day I like mid tops to skate. You know, and I tend to do like tape my ankle, and I kind of miss that sock because it does help, you know, if you put that in there, and it gives me that feel, you know.
You had two shoes, right?
Yes. And the wild thing is like, which was cool about S2 is just, I was always, hey, I want to, you know, it's always, you know, snapping laces or whatever. And it's just like, oh, let's do the shoelace on the inside, you know? So then
little
the
cover
top,
on it.
so it looked weird. a little Back to the Future kind of like, but you know, it was cool. So we did a couple of prototypes, and it was like, oh, this is cool. And it was just, they're having a hard time and kind of getting through and selling. But like the mid top, the first one I think had the sock. The second one,
second one's like a low top.
Yeah,
kind of
and
one.
yes, it was a low top, kind of going towards like, you know, hey, I want to at least get some sales. You know, not everyone was rocking the mid top,
Right.
And it was a really good shoe. I liked it, but I had a harder time because the way I knee slide, and the reason I like the mid tops is like all my joints are hypermobile. So my wrist, my my shoulder, my knees, like they're all like ankles. They're all
been like that your whole life, or just
my whole life?
Okay.
Yeah. So the good thing is that, you know, that helps me in a lot of ways. It's just, you know, instead of snapping or ligament, or it kind of goes and comes back, you know,
right.
But because of it, I when I knee slide, I kind of have my foot out like this, and I always get the side of my leg, or so I kind of sit on my foot. So it would just like, you know, mess up the side of my ankle.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, oh, I need the mid top to kind of protect me from that. So that's kind of like where I went there. And then I was just like, I accepted the low top and skated. I would just get the burns, you know, or I just do double sock, or kind of, you know, did that. But those are two great shoes that I love. You know, such a great opportunity to work with specific design, and they weren't really closed to any of my ideas, which I loved, you know, even though, because they did have the Costin that flew off the shelf, right, you know, and I wanted them too, you know, but you know, so I was like, I kind of took advantage of that too and said, hey, you know, let me just sacrifice for progression.
Little give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were cool. I mean, it was like, you know, the side lace thing was so awkward, but they went for it. We did a couple of prototypes. I mean, they spent some money on putting that, you know, to see if it worked out and all that. So yeah, that was fun. And traveling with those guys was awesome.
Oh my God, what a great Rodrigo.
Yes.
Rodrigo
Getting him on, was great. I mean, just, you know, such an early, perfect, powerful, you know, skateboarder for S, and it was
You
cool.
brought him to S, basically hooked him up.
Yeah, I brought him to S, to the firm, you know, because he was on Reef.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, and understandably, like his family, you know, his mom was alive at the time, and you know, his parents, and they were just always concerned. So I'd try to I'd call them and be like, listen, you know, your son is just, you know, one of the most amazing skateboarders. He can be on I kind of did what Jake did to me.
Okay.
You know?
Wow.
And I was like, you know, Rodrigo, you can, you know, he's like, oh, but they're offering me. And the crazy thing was, you know, the guy went over to his house and tried to get him to sign this contract, and for a couple of years, and like, you know, not much money.
Oh, wow.
And his mom was like, obviously they needed money, and they were about to sign. And I was just like, I remember I was traveling. I just always, like, almost every night I'd like call him in,
check
and
on
be
him.
like, hey, dude, don't sign that. Like, I'm working on some things for you. Like, do not sign that. You know? It might seem like you got something right there, but it might not be. So I would just like kind of like, and he was like, he knew it, right? But his mom and the whole thing. So I had to kind of like do the full package of explaining, you know, and I don't think even he realized how much of a
Potential
a
he had.
power, you know, how much of an impact, you know, that he had, you know, and it was cool that we were able to convince him and kind of keep him in the mix, and then brought him over to the firm, and then got him on S, and then he got that video part pretty like short notice.
Menikmati.
Yeah, Menikmati.
When that part came out,
Dude.
Short notice, man.
Gnarly.
He would go out and film stuff. Like, he's like, okay.
That video changed the game.
no, the whole 100%. But for Rodrigo though,
Right. Yeah. No, it put him on the map. It put him on the map, but on the right side of the map.
Oh,
yes.
Right? Because he could put a similar part out for Reef.
Yeah,
But
It would do nothing other than like, wow, this guy's amazing. Let's get him off Reef.
yeah.
You know, that's what it would do again. But yeah, so that was cool to have him over, and you know, as a Brazilian to have him on there. And
How did you even find him? Is that a contest or something?
We were at it was the first World Cup event that we took to São Paulo, and I remember seeing him skate the street course. And he was just this lanky, powerful pop kid. Like, he kickflip, no slid the sledge. It was so big. I mean, people were barely getting on it, you know. And he was just like right on it. And I was like, okay. I mean, it was right off the bat. Once you see, like, you know, you see that, you're like, dude, this kid is insane. Where's he from? Like, and it's just like, oh, he skates downtown, you know, and he got that good real quick. You know, like,
Wow.
it was very recent, you know, and now he's doing stuff like that. So that's kind of like, and then he got on, I think he got on Reef, started traveling. He went to Prague and won the contest there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then that's when I was just like, okay, man, you have to.
We got to
Got to line you up. Line you up to launch. And he's a solid dude, man. I just love that guy. He just, you know, turned out to be, you know, such a great, you know, because you can lose it. I mean, I have a friend that's got this band. It's called Ego Kill Talent, and I think it's the best name for a band, and it's so true for everything, right?
Right.
Because ego does kill talent, and so in his case, he had such a humble and such a rad kid. It was always like, you know, a pleasure to be around. And even when things started happening and he's on S, and he was always so thankful. He would always like be like, Bob, dude, I know what you did for me.
Right.
You know, and he'd like,
That's
you know,
awesome.
kind of let me know. And to this day, I mean, we don't talk as much. You know, he's out doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, comment something on, you know, on Instagram, and then he'll send a DM and be like, dude, right on, man. You know, really thankful for it. So it's just,
amazing.
yeah, it's
That's
just,
so
and then
cool.
he's still like, you know,
Killing it.
doing his thing. Yeah.
Oof, best
Incredible.
backside flip in the game. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Were you talking about the Firm? What happened? Why go from anti-hero to the Firm?
I converted. No,
You converted to the Firm.
no. You know, what's funny that is, I'm Brazilian. There is no NorCal, SoCal to me. You know,
right.
There's zero that. So it was just, I lived in San Francisco, and I, you know, hung out with those guys and up there, and then we did a tour, like actually anti-hero Firm.
What?
Okay.
Perfect. It was so funny that it was just such a polar opposite, but it was one of the coolest tours that I've been on.
Wow.
You know, Ray Barbie and Lance and, you know, Salman Agha.
Oh my God, incredible.
Andy Roy, John Cartier. And it was just like, I mean, it was get in the van, and then like, you know, Andy's looking at me, and as soon as we get in the van, he punches me. And then like I punch him back, and we start fighting, and it's just like, that's Andy love. Right?
Sure.
So it's just like, okay, I see how it is. I'll punch back, you know. And then we got like really get into it, like, you know, punches to the face and like, and then like, I love you, Bob, man. And then we're hanging out, and it's cool, right? So it was just like, then we show up at the park, and then he starts a fight. We go to a party, he grabs some girl that's with someone, you know, like just starts fights. You know, I don't like that. I never was. I don't mind the van bonding in the, you know, that type of, you know, situation.
Right.
But I do not like causing, like, and
Chaos,
being, just, if the fight comes, it comes, and I'm there. You know, but you know, I don't go out there and start. But they just had that mentality, and it was just like always out, and it was just like, oh man, here, go to this place to show up, and then I'm in the mix.
Right.
You know, Bob was, you know, so I kind of started
distancing yourself
a little bit.
Huh.
Obviously, when X Games came around. And listen, I mean, those guys, I love all those guys. You know, just, you know, Jim was so helpful. You know, Tommy Guerrero, like all those guys were just, you know, so great to me. And it just kind of clashed because here I am. You know, now I'm skating X Games, which was Extreme Games at the time, which it is what it is. And as a Brazilian, I'm going like, I can make money. You know, I'm winning this contest. And Brazil, it's like kind of like they look at that and be like, okay, there's a Brazilian representing Brazil. So kind of like, it's the competition side. It's like the 9 to 5 of skateboarding, really. You know, like if you really want to make it, it's kind of, you can do it like that. And there was a clash in that because obviously Extreme Games in our world, that was like a full on headbutt. And I remember getting in, like, remember Clint going like, hey, you can't skate those contests.
Oh.
And I was like, sure, just pay me first prize money every time there's one of those events.
Because you're going to win it.
Because I can win.
Yeah.
It's not like I'll win because I'm not that arrogant, but like I know that I had the opportunity to win.
Right.
So, well, we can't. It was this conversation of like, you can't do it. And then when people start telling me I can't and can't, don't, and won't, you know, and it was just like, wait a minute. Something's going on here. I want to be, you know, everywhere. I don't care to be Justin Thrasher, even though I love Thrasher.
Sure.
You know, I'm okay in being in Trans World.
Yeah.
You know, I'm okay traveling. And so it was just like, it started getting ruffling that.
I can see that.
I went on a trip and, you know, and I clashed and I started going like, okay, dude, like we just gotta, let me talk to you guys, you know? And I went and talked to Mickey and I guess he talked to Fausto and I think jokingly, Mickey might have called me, and I was talking to him. He's like, "Dude, you're fired." He said something like that. Yeah. And he was playing. He was just trying to say, like, dude, stop. Like, let's just keep. And he was actually being nice. And the way he was talking, I just read it differently at the time because it was just so. Because this is my livelihood, and I'm trying to like, and I don't care about who's NorCal and Chrome. I really do not care what you guys got going on. I'm a Brazilian skateboarder, and I love all you guys, And so then I was like, I'm fired. Like, well, you got to go talk to Fausto. And I was like, what? All right. Just drove to high speed, to high speed production. Yeah. Like, Fausto, what's up? Just straight up like. I heard, and he's like, no, those guys said that this and that. You just got to talk to those guys. I mean, you just got to tone down this and that. I was like, what do I got to tone down? Oh, well, we got this image here. I was like, yeah, but that's you guys. Like, I'm skating. I just want to.
You're Bob.
So I noticed that, and Fausto was super cool.
Yeah.
But he was just like, and he clicked because he's from Argentina. So we connected, that whole Latin thing. He was always so helpful of me. And so then, he was like, oh, you got to go back and talk to those guys. And I was like, listen, it's okay, but I'm done, And that's how he's like, well, and they're like, well, if you quit, Tyler, we can't be on. I was like, that's fine, dude. You can take my whole board from under me.
It's like a package deal.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No Indy, no Spitfire, that's totally fine. I was just like, I talked to, Mickey, and I was like, okay, I'm out. And then, Tommy got wind of it, and Jim, they called me. It was like, hey, dude, it's all good. It's not you. It's super good. I'm going to leave on like, it's a cleanup, but I got to, I'm, moving down.
You got to do your thing.
Yeah, and I was living, and this is the time I was living in, I moved to Encinitas.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was skating the vert there. And just in my world in vert, Danny, Tony, all those guys were down here, and I skated with Max a bunch up there, but it was a completely, if I wanted to progress and really I was looking, then I felt like a move. Plus, San Francisco was cold as hell. Always, and I'm Brazilian. I'm just going, okay, let me just change.
Right.
So it's almost like I defected from NorCal. To SoCal, right.
Okay.
So once that was, I was like, well, it's not that, but that's okay. I can rebuild. And because I had interacted with Lance, and he's so rad, and I talked to Tony and all those guys, I think then he was gonna. I think Birdhouse was gonna start the Blitz distribution at the time.
Yeah.
Gonna start carrying Firm, and I just called Lance, and Lance was always super cool. I'd call him even for random things. Like when I was skating X Games, I was just like kind of getting over it because same thing over it. Yeah. And I'm just like, dude. And he was like, well, if you don't go, then people aren't going to see that skateboarding. They're not going to see what skateboarding is to you.
Right.
So if you hide, yeah, you can do that. But then, and that kind of put things into perspective. I was like, wow, that's right. So I'll just go. And I'll skate the way I skate, and then that's me in this, big stage.
Right.
Yeah. That was after a few of them already. Huh. But because I would have these conversations with Lance, and because of that tour, like even though like it was anti-Yo Firm tour, I tended to hang
with the Firm guys.
With Firm guys, just because I was kind of growing old of the wildness, even though I was wild at the time, but I wanted to focus, right? I wanted to kind of go and like, no, man, I mean, it's either this route, jail. Or this route, and I was always like, skateboarding, kind of always kept me in line. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to choose this. And I talked to Lance, and he's like, well, I'm thinking about, taking the Firm to Blitz or whatever. And then that would kind of give me a little bit more, I was like, all right, man, that'd be awesome. I'd love riding for the Firm, and then kind of like how that went down. I think it was like 99. So right at that. And it was cool. And I rode for the Firm, and then
Can't Stop
Fury, and then got Richter, and just kind of like got onto that whole mix, and it was awesome. Just such a great time. I just felt liberated in the sense of like, now I can do whatever I want, right? Without being like, hey, you can't do that, or you can't do that. So that's kind of like how that all went down. And with Julian and those guys, he was traveling, I think, at the time too. Like he wasn't even around. So when he got back, then he was like, dude, Bob, what the hell? Like what happened? I was like, oh, like what's going on? And then we had a conversation. I talked to him and everything, and it was fine. So I just explained what it was. And he was like, yeah, man, like, it's all good. But that was harder than all the other guys. And talking Fausto with Julian, that's Julian. I didn't want him to feel like
you bounced on him.
You.
Like,
it's like, it feels like the right thing to do for me. And at the time, and they were supportive, and, and it is what it is. And Cardiel is like the most amazing, guy, so inspiring. Got to travel and skate with him so much. That was such an incredible school of skateboarding. You know? It's just, all right, dude, like that's it. You know, that's how you roll. You know, 100%. You know, there's no back.
No, 99%.
Yeah. And the way he bailed out of stuff, he'd do like front flips. I mean, you see Cardiel footage, like,
oh yeah,
he's in a rail, and then all of a sudden he's doing a front flip down the stairs, you know, to get out of stuff.
Out of it.
Yeah, and then and you're like, how did you do that? Like, just you know, that was, you know, the slams were inspiring, the bails were, the skateboarding were inspiring, just his approach, you know. Man. And he still, to this day, I mean, what he went through is inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, and to see him
overcoming all that.
Yeah, overcoming and do it, and just, you know, this, it's just like will to live, right?
Right.
You know, because he was in a wheelchair for a while, and he was in this world of like, maybe I won't walk again. And, and I'm sure he felt the, you know, the will to die,
the darkness,
and but you know, pulling through that. I mean, that to me is like, that's that's cardio.
Yeah.
Right? So
in a nutshell,
it couldn't have been different. You know,
crazy
to approach it like that. So
and everything worked out. The firm. I mean, you went on. I mean, X Games after X Games after gold after gold after. I mean, crazy, dude.
You want a gold medal?
I want a gold medal. Yeah, I'll never get one, but you know.
Hey, the funny part about all that is I never felt like I was a good competitive skateboarder.
Why?
I didn't have that approach of like strategy of this and that, and then I'm going to do this, and then it was just skate.
You just went into these.
I either won or I got last, kind of thing. You know, it was like kind of like how I always approached him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I felt like, oh, I'm not. And then all of a sudden, I look back and I got all these wins, all these golds, and I'm like, actually, I can be good at it, even though I don't see myself as that. You know, like it was just like, I go out there and skate, and won. Holy shit, that's insane. That's cool. You know, and I went with a full approach to win, but if it didn't go down, it was like, okay, then it didn't go down. Let's just, you know,
give it your all.
Go home and learn a trick and get over it.
Sure,
that's kind of like how, you know, I got over that whole madness. And then it was like livelihood and having a daughter, and then going like, okay, well now I have to like, you know, pay the bills.
It's real.
Now it's like, you know, focus. You know? I got an opportunity to skate, you know, we like, you know, remember skating this Hollywood Triple Crown. Like I remember in the beginning, before all the Vance Park series, it was all the Triple Crown.
Oh yeah.
So I won a few of those overalls, a few of those events, like all, you know, and that kind of like, I won a Ford Ranger in one, and then I won like, I won 10 grand and then 15 grand, and it was just like, it was a whole nother world.
Is that when you did the switch nose blind?
That was in Boston. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that a Triple Crown?
Yeah, it was a Triple Crown in Boston. Yeah.
Gee, and it's fakie 5-0 fakie flip on the
little bar thing.
Yeah, that was that was at X Games, and that was my first gold medal. It was the best trick. It was the year after Tony's 900.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they were like, okay, now we have this best trick event. What's going to go down, right? 900 last year. What up? You know, seriously. Just like, okay.
Who's going up?
1260. No.
Were you trying that trick before, or were you even?
No. What I had done it.
Didn't you do it in like?
I did it at the Y.
Yeah, you did. It was
one of the.
It was Transworld video.
Was it Transworld?
Yeah.
That's like the weird box thing they had.
And I think I had that weird side lace thing when I learned.
Oh, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did that, but I did it on the lip of the ramp. So when the bar came out, it was like kind of like I was trying other stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe I can try that, but I wasn't really thinking of that trick. You know, I was just doing something else. I did a rock fakie on this. They had this big old vert thing.
Sure.
And then once the bar was there, I was like, I might as well try it, you know, and then tried a couple of them, and then all of a sudden it wasn't supposed to, it's supposed to happen. But if you look at the footage, I'm as surprised as everyone else. Yeah. And because I remember the board. And it worked out so good, because I remember like I flipped it, and then the board hit the lip and came back to my foot, right? So it flipped and then hit the lip, and then when it came back, flipped and like, perfect. So when I put it down like that, it wasn't like it was just like, what did just happen? Like, you know, I was like, oh my God, da, da, da. And that's within the 20 minutes of that's supposed to be a 6-hour trick.
Totally.
If that, right? And over the course of the week, you know?
Yeah.
But it just happened on the spot. And
crazy.
Yeah, that was cool. I remember, is it Spencer Fujimoto?
Spencer Fujimoto.
Yeah. I remember him because he was right there when I landed it, and you know, and I connected obviously because I seen the videos, and I remember I was in SF, you know, and like, it gave me a high five, and it was just like, I remember that whole random
Wow.
of it, but I remember him in the crowd.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Great. Would you plan your runs out on these X Games, or would you kind of go in maybe a little plan, maybe some freestyle, like whatever came to you, or how would you go about it?
I've skated many different ways, but like most of the time, I dropped in and kind of had an idea. Okay, I need to do, the 5 and the flip, and then once that's done, then just kind of freestyle.
See where it goes.
And back then it was like minute long runs.
Yeah.
So you had more time to flow.
Okay.
And then it got into the 30 seconds. So you had to like backside 5, Indy 5, like there's no
Rapid
flow.
fire.
Straight into
Yeah.
like combos, which I think that it needs to go back. So you kind of add some flow into it.
Yeah.
But that's because I had all that time. Then I was able to skate like that, and the different formats that are, less walls.
Yeah.
You have to have a little bit more of a plan,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you loosen up and you just mess up on a wall, then that's one wall you just let go. Where before you can kind of just do a backside all and then go back into everything else, attack mode. So
you'd have more success just kind of doing your staple tricks and then going in and kind of figuring out stuff on the fly.
Yeah, and then the ramp had a certain design, so you want to, that ramp at X Games. That was the year after the Fakey 5.0 flip.
Yep.
That was my first gold in vert, which was the 2001 Vert X Games. That run was just like, I didn't really have that planned, but I knew I had to do all the way up until the switch kickflip Indy that ended up with a half flip. I kind of knew, right?
Oh.
After that was like, okay, now I'm not falling off my board. Once I went through all that, and then it's like, okay, you get into this mode of like,
Game on.
once I go through this trick like that, then everything else kind of fell into place. But there was no plan there too. There was just like kind of go. That at that time, that's how that format. That's kind of how I skated. And the same year at Slam City, I got a 99 on vert.
Damn.
And that was when
9 Club.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. All right. I deserve to be here.
Double, yes.
All right.
Noin.
So
Noing.
yeah, so that's so then when that happened, and then Bucky had his run, and I was the last guy to go, and he had like a 95, I think, and everyone kind of it was X Games, so they stop and they film him, and
They were
his
expecting him to win.
Yeah, everyone was.
95.
And the only reason
you could pull it off.
the only
Seriously.
reason I was like, I can take this is because in the beginning of the year I got the 99. So in my head I was like, that's 95. I've done 99 before.
I got it,
I can
yeah.
get more than 95.
Wow.
So
So you didn't even go into that defeated. You were like, I got this.
No, and I wanted to go, and everyone there filming Bucky, filming him hug Jen,
You saw all
his
of it,
wife,
yeah.
and I'm going like, hey, I want to go. I want to
I'm ready.
I'm
Yeah,
still
it's
warm.
your turn, yeah.
So they played that whole thing, and then like, okay, then I went, and then I was just like, well, kind of cleared it off, and I was just like, all right, it is what it is. I'm gonna go through it, and that's that, and I'll keep it open. Then dropped in, and things started happening. And
Dude, that's so rare to get a 99.
yeah, and I got like that one. I got a 98.
98.
That does not happen anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you ever talk to Bucky after? Like, was he just like, dude, I thought I had it.
The
dude,
funny
and
thing
you-
is like I didn't even need to talk to him. Is that there's a shot right after the run it shoots. He's like, he does his face and looks around like just bummed, but like played, just like this, like
a pouty face, right?
and no scores came out or anything, but he knew, and I mean it was just like, all right. I was gone in my head, like I was just like that wasn't even there. It was like one of the rare like
Out of body.
blacked out.
yeah,
type of
and it
thing.
was just like, okay, anything that I did was just, and then when I was done with it, I was like, oh, okay. It was almost like I was a medium and I was incorporating that.
Just channeling.
Yeah.
But also, you're doing a lot of switch shit in your runs too.
Yeah, I was adding
Which-
that just because I had seen like this had already been a while, but like I wanted to learn and do something different. I always wanted to kind of be different.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just like, okay, once I started, seeing the videos of Danny and Colin and doing switch tricks, and they're doing switch heel flip indies. They're doing the tough like tech tricks already. And in my head, they had to learn to get there, right? So in my mind, I was like, I can do that, but I need to go through the process
Yes.
of drop in, frontside grind, 50-50, backside. So I started skating like that, like every end of the session or whatever, when I was thinking I was getting tired and I was about to be done. I would just skate switch for the remaining 30 minutes and not skate any, because you get dizzy because when you're not skating that way so much.
Yeah.
Like try to do switch backside kick turns until and then do regular backside kick turns. You'll be able to do your regular ones like for as long as you won't get dizzy.
Right.
But the switch ones, after a few, you're going to start kind of feeling weird.
Kind of discombobulates you a little bit.
Yeah, because it's not normal. So I would do that a lot. You know, so I'd get dizzy.
To get the feeling.
Yeah, to get that away, right? And then learn frontside grinds. But this was like, once I realized that I could do that because of those guys, right? But like I remember I learned a trick we used to film obviously our runs and Lincoln's dad, and film all that. Film us, dad cam. So Lincoln would do these nose grinds, right? And then we're learning nose grinds. So like we're rewinding on to try to watch it again and rewinding and watch. Because every day I'd go to the park, learn tricks, as many as I could. Next day, learn more tricks. I was like, oh, I learned 2 today. Oh, I learned 4 today. If I learned 0, I was bummed. If I learned 1, I was bummed. I wanted multiples, like I was like this hungry, like there was no. And then after a little while, it's harder to, you went through the list, and then now you're like, for you to learn, now you got to learn a 5, or like it gets harder.
Right.
So then I was like, we're like watching this and then rewinding to watch it again, rewinding. I saw the trick. I was like, oh, there's the trick. I think it was the rewind, because the nose grind and the switch grind. Because this is before thinking really switch.
You saw the trick while it was being rewound.
Yeah, rewound. And so
you saw that as a trick.
And I went to learn the rewind grind.
The rewind grind.
That was, to me, it was a rewind grind.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so then it was just like, oh, okay. Then the next day is like I just did a little scratch, and I was like, the rewind grind. Do you remember we were rewinding yesterday? We were all laughing, like, oh that's crazy, that's cool. And so then in my head, now I'm like, there's so many tricks. It's just being open, whether you see it or not. And it's in your mind. You have to, if you're learning something new or something that hasn't been done, then you have to see it before anyone else, and you have to visualize, materialize, kind of thing. And then, so then as switch started coming around, I'm like, okay, I'll skate switch, but I'm going to learn like I learned. Which trick did I learn first? Okay, I learned, rock fakies or okay, I've done that. Rock and rolls. Okay, let me do a rock and roll.
Oh, you're just starting over.
Yeah, 50-50.
Yeah.
Man, 50-50s are hard as hell to switch, but I keep, and then, I got it. Oh, I got it. So I started like that, switch frontside airs, switch backside airs. So I started putting it in my line, the basics, right?
Right.
So that's what made me like build. And once I realized when I went to Slam City, I have no idea. There's no way I was like, I'm going to win this contest. It's Mike Frazier, Toss Papas, Danny Way, like all these guys,
hitters,
right? I mean, I'm just going stoked to skate, stayed in the room with Mike and Max, it's just like stories. This is insane. That's Mike Frazier. That, I'm just like, all that was wild to me. But when I was skating, I would like, just do my thing and like do the switch thing. And people were stoked, and I made it through the finals, and it was like, okay, it's cool. And then Jake would like, hey, can you do a 540? Can you drop into a 540? And he would kind of like start building, I can drop into a 540. Okay, then, and so that's how I started my run, so drop into 540 and then start doing everything else. And then I remember like, and I think you've seen the video, like Andy Roy's like, switch! He starts screaming like, switch. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot, and then I go and like, and then I do the roll in, switch out, roll in, switch, roll in, like rock and roll, switch front side air. And there's like, da-da-da. Done with my run, wherever the contest's over. They start calling the names, and it's 9th place, 7th place. I didn't hear it, and then I was like, they got to 5th, and I was like, oh man, I didn't hear my name. It's probably like in 10th, I was like, it's cool. I just hung out, and then it got to all the way top 3, and I'm just like, I wonder who won, man. Frazier probably killed it. Like Frazier killed it, and then they're like, and then 2nd place is Mike Frazier, and 1st place is Bob. I was just like, nah, no way. Like that just completely like caught me off guard. Wow. And then that was that. And then that's when like I was like, I guess they like the switch. I don't know why what was special there, right? Because to me, I look at Frazier, he was special. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's Frazier. Like, look at the way he's skating. Like, but I guess in the way it was a reward of a new new approach. Maybe it like, if we compare it again and we go, and then like they could have given to him, or, but it was like that kind of opened up the whole, all right, keep progressing switch and keep adding that. And then that's when, then switch kickflip indies in the run, switch back tails, and switch Smith grinds. Then I started progressing. And that's kind of how I kept pushing.
Kind of just open the door, the light bulb kind of popped off.
Now
you were already doing it.
Yeah, but now it's easier for me to learn those tricks and add those 1, 2, 3s a day. Because all I got to do now is like learn a switch trick. you know.
And that's
learn to switch frontside ollie, because now it's like learn to skateboard all over again. So all those tricks that I know how to do regular, all I got to do is do them switch.
In reverse, yeah.
You know what I always liked though about your skating was that when you skated switch, it looked switch. You know what I mean? That was such a great thing to watch. But like, what? So
unlike Leandre, where you can't tell which stance he is.
Yeah, Leandre Sanders, like you can't tell what stance he is, and then like you watch that and like, oh, that's kind of refreshing.
I remember looking. You know, I had this thing of like to stay on my board, I would keep looking forward, because sometimes if I go to look, then you would like, you know, especially when you're skating fast, kind of, if you put your head somewhere, kind of like your body follows. And and because it was switch, so I'd land stuff and my head was there, and I would keep looking that way. And I remember like Max and all those guys, they're like, dude, that is so rad. Why do you know, like, and they try to like mimic because you don't see the other wall.
Yeah.
And they thought it was funny, it was cool, and I was just like, it just kind of like happened more and more and more. But that's why it looked switch. I kept my, and then I started. I wanted to make it look like it wasn't switch.
Right. Okay.
But then it's just the way I skate.
Yeah.
And it's fine. But you still want to progress. Right?
Sure.
So then, especially after talking to Rodney Mullen, and he was like, "There is no switch. It's a goofy trick or it's a regular trick, right?" So in his mind, it's like. But there is switch, because you always learn a certain way. But I know what he was. I know where he was going.
Yeah.
You know, and then I was like, yeah, that's right. So what is that? It's a goofy crooked grind or something. You know, it's a switch for me, but it's a goofy. Look, it's goofy.
Yeah, you're skating goofy.
So might be easier to name the tricks. It's like a switch nollie.
Switch.
Like, what is that? Oh, it's fakey ollie. So
was there a trick that was like almost impossible for you to learn switch?
Yeah,
maybe when you did, you've done it
harder than anything backside switch is harder than frontside.
Okay.
It's a little harder to open up, and I don't know, maybe because you can overturn and do that back slam. And when I go frontside, I can always control it and keep looking my safe. You know, So because then after I land, then I can look, and when you go switch backside, when you put it in, there is no like. There's that turn. So it was harder. So switch 540s were really tough. Like switch mute 540s.
Imagine switch 540s.
They really started happening. It got easier when I started skating Mega.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I had more room.
Yeah.
More wall.
More time.
So I can put it on the wall. Oh, this doesn't work. Throw it away. Because on vert, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you go for a switch 5,
it's quick.
Yeah, it's like. So I see, like, there's a bunch of footage of Tony when he was learning the switch 5, just slams, It's just like spin it around, then put it down, boom, like full slam. There's no like, let me test it out.
Right.
So then I progressed. I got switch backside tail 5s and got, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually, once you figure out the Mega and go through the psychological barrier, it actually makes it, like, to me, because I can skate all of it, I rather try stuff on Mega.
Interesting.
Than, on a smaller wall or whatever.
Yeah. The Quarterpipe.
Yes, on the Quarterpipe.
with all your lip tricks, like, to me, do you watch a lot of street videos back in the day?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of your lip tricks look like they're street inspired, almost like with the like certain ledge tricks.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean that's the school of Plan B H Street. Like that's really where that's from. It was just like street on vert, and I wanted to do nose grinds. I didn't want to do them over here. I wanted to do them like a ledge. Let me get on top of this nose grind. Yeah. And if I pop a 180 out of it, I don't want to just kind of revert out. I want to like snap a pop out of it. And then, because it felt like, I mean, why not? I mean, it's easier to get on. It's harder. It's hard for me to ollie up into a ledge for me.
Yeah.
So I rather, if I got that, then all I got to do is like, there's no pop needed. It's just, it's just the way you approach it, really.
I'll say this, man. People have that vert button stuff, and I never fast forward your parts.
Right.
Vert button.
Hey, dude, I know.
I loved watching the way you skate.
The vert button isn't the rewind button. No.
Double F.
But it's just, I mean, I know what Kelly's saying, because it's just fascinating. Like, oh my God, here's Bob Burnquist's part. What's he going to do?
Yeah.
This is just insane.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about real quick. I want to talk about flip and also, but the loop with no roof. What the hell was even going on?
Who has no roof on a loop?
Who has no roof?
That was obviously not the plan. It was just like, let me build a loop out of my vert because I wanted to like, I put a bar. So I wanted to do a trick, land, do the loop, and do a trick. I wanted the loop to be a part of a line, not just the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, okay, when the King of Skate event went down, I was like, oh, what's your obstacle, right? So I was just like, went out there and I'm thinking, and I was like, I want to do this. Yeah, I did draw the open loop. And I was like, oh, that would be cool.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I have the drawing. And,
Okay.
And I have the tree, the way my backyard was then, where this tree was, and I had this whole thing. I looked at, yeah, that'd be cool. But I had it perfectly in the middle kind of thing.
Okay.
But when it came to actually do the event, I was like, let me have something before I even go there, and so I was like, Tim and Jeff Hammond, those guys, Tim Payne, Team Payne.
Yes.
So then we were like, okay, I got to do this thing. I want to, build this. And then I had a conference in Philadelphia. It was a spiritist conference. So some guys were just trying to figure out, like, they're translating books, into Portuguese to English. And it was just a cool, like, and I went out there and left them building the loop.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, do it here, spin it this way, and then we're gonna do this because when I do if I open it up at the end, then, it's front side, cool, blah blah blah.
So you had the idea already.
Yeah, I had the idea
of like, hey, build it
so I could do the open loop. But I mean, what I want to do first is this, and if it works out, great. If that doesn't happen, that's fine. We have
I got a little backup plan.
I got a backup plan.
Right.
So
got a showstopper.
When I got back, not the kickflip butt ride, sure. Close. So then I got back into town, and I go out there to check out the loop, and I'm like, they spun it the wrong way, dude. Oh my gosh, Jeff. He's like, no, man, it didn't fit. Because if you went that way, it was going to go into this wall thing. I was like, but you guys could have called me, man. Like, and I start getting upset because I'm like, but then I'm like, hey, it's spun that way. But then now I got to do this open loop backside. Fuck, that's not going to happen.
No,
right?
You can't. Okay.
So then immediately I was like, well, it is what it is. Let's put the bar up there, and then da-da-da-da-da. We go into it. And then I'm like, I'm gonna have to do it switch. It wasn't like let me do it switch. I'd rather go switch front side than regular backside because it was just so much more awkward to me, to do it back.
Had you even done the switch loop?
Yeah, at that time I had done it every which way. I think
so. You have.
I did it like loop front side, loop backside, switch front side, and switch backside. I had them all. I had done them all, but
gotcha.
I knew in my head that if I'm going to air, it was like a switch frontsider to me, but I have to end up over there. So it was just like, this is awkward, feel, but it wasn't supposed to spin that way. So it wasn't like, again, I didn't plan it. It just happened to be, okay, now I have to do it that way, and I have to do it switch. So, I could have done it regular or whatever, but I'm glad that they spun it the other way, and then it made me, try it that way. And I was going to a Berlin S trip like the weekend after.
Okay.
And so so I'm doing this thing. Well, then I land, do the, I remember I did the nose grind on the bar, loop, and then blunt kickflip on the quarter.
Okay.
So I filmed, I think in the Firm or one of the videos, I have that, little combo from that event. And then we're like, let's open the loop. But it wasn't like, okay, they started opening it. No, you can't open it in the middle, right? Because I needed a launch, so I was like, no, it was all it wasn't like there was no plan. It was just like,
here.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't say like, the trajectory of A,
the
B,
thing, and I was like, I cut it right around here, because it needs to throw me. It can't be just an oververt wall because it would toss me in the wrong way.
Okay.
So I cut it at like somewhat like 11 or something, and that's why it was
a little offset. Yeah,
because it would.
Okay.
It would help me to go there, but I, rolled. So the first one for me to go was just like, okay, put the pads, right? So we had the pads
to test.
To test it out. So we put the pads in the middle of the ramp. Okay, now you can go test it. So when I dropped in, I went and tossed myself switch, but like I was obviously scared. So it's like, you tried backflips on the beach at all?
No.
You tend to look side. I see people learning backflips. They kind of
look over their shoulder.
Yeah, and it doesn't really go in. All you need to do is look up, and it fixes. But in your mind, you're scared. So for you to look up takes a little bit. So my first one, I kind of did the side thing, and here's the open loop, and I went backflip and missed the ramp altogether.
Flew out.
Missed the pads. missed the ramp, landed on the side on my feet, like full, like.
What do you mean you flip?
Yeah, it was like full backflip.
You did gymnastics.
Yeah, and landed on the side of the ramp, and like, I was like, okay, let's put some pads right here. So then we put pads.
You
on
knew
the
what
side.
you did wrong, though.
Yeah, now I know, but gladly I landed on my feet.
God damn.
And then we adjusted that, and I started adjusting. I started getting closer to the ramp. And the funny part about that, I know if you guys heard of Barry Zaritsky. Remember Barry from? Okay, so
the old medic.
Yes,
with the mustache.
Caribbean. Hope he's okay. Actually, out in the Bahamas with all that madness.
Oh.
Yeah. So he wanted to protect. I mean, he's so like he's a physical. He's just like out there. So he goes, when I go on around the loop, he's thinking he's gonna. He would like
Catch you.
throw himself in like to become a pad. And like
human
I almost,
pad.
yeah, I was like, I didn't see that at the time when I saw the footage. I just laughed so hard. I'm like, and God bless him, but like there was nothing that was gonna really do. I was gonna hurt him, hurt
It made
myself.
both of you.
But he
Yeah.
was just, throwing himself in front of the bullet for me. I mean, that's how Barry was in
my
protecting
God.
us, and it was just like it was so cool. But I mean that I saw that afterwards. But anyways, like it took me a few, and I would like spin around and put my foot down because I would like turn, put my foot down, knee slide, right? Spin around, put my foot down, knee slide. Same exact bail, like over and over and over. And my ankle was starting to like, please, no more of those. Go, same thing. And I started to like, oh my gosh, did I have to? Now it's like really tiring. It's taking time. It's 35 millimeter cameras on, big, expensive production, and I'm going like, oh my gosh, dude, I have to make this. And I just would not stop. But I was done already before. An hour earlier, I was already
You're already done.
You're
pushing it now.
Yeah, I'm pushing. I'm just hoping and praying now. Now it's just motion. I tried to like energy and just, and then all of a sudden I just, pulled out and kind of got in a good spot and landed, rolled away. And I was just like, I can't believe that just went down.
I was there that day.
Yeah. And,
Really?
Oh, you were?
Yeah,
you were part of the
I was there with
crew?
Jeff Taylor.
No, man, that was like, and then all of a sudden, weighed off my, just like, oh my gosh, that's insane. And I remember like falling down, and then that was it. I couldn't even walk up to my house.
Seriously.
Like I was one of those, the guy who worked with me at the time, I had a little Craftsman. We put like a mattress on the back of the thing. I just laid down. He just like drove me up to the house.
That's funny.
And I was done.
Oh
that
my
was
God.
It. So the weekend after, I'd like, show up at the S thing, and I, got kind of my ankle wrapped and with the
Damn.
no vert wall to drop in.
No vert. No vert.
wow.
Nothing going on there.
What does that feel like to do the loop? Like, what's like?
It's not a kickflip backside tail slide. You're just riding.
Yeah.
So the thing that the madness is just
you ever feel
getting
like weightless?
yourself to because you're going forward but then your landing ramp is back there, which that's the weird part, is that you can't go up with your head. You have to keep the head low, and it's a hip, toss. It's kind of like you throw the hip and you catch. It's like, that's what I mean, after I did like a few of them and I had a loop in my backyard, every time I skated vert, I would skate in the middle of the session. I go over, drop in, and do the loop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like constant. That's why I have so much footage of like, I got, we were filming for the firm. And I got the Kurt Hayashi's camera, VX 1000, and like, and then
Shoot yourself.
did the loop. That it was just constant all the time. There was no bailing. I did it over 500 times. I think.
Wow.
Like the loop. Tony's, Huck Jam thing every night.
do the
all
loop.
the time. Like just constant. But I realized that there was a little technique of like, keep your head in the middle, right? Don't let it go up where you like bug on the windshield and you like come down, and those slams suck. Danny will tell you he got one of those. And so I just stayed down, and then like I would just throw myself to catch myself here. Once I realized that it was just riding up, all I would do is like look at the sticker line and just ride that. And then all of a sudden you're like looking at coming down. It's weird because you're looking up. And then all of a sudden you're looking down in the same, and then you just make the landing, right?
Yeah.
So
you're like, there's two, you have to split it up in two almost. You kind of go, catch yourself and then make it. Because if you do one, you get the Schaefer, or the Jake Brown did one where it's like, straight leg, and it's just kind of one thing. It's not one. It's like you have to carve through the
So your head is kind of like the center of the clock, and
you keep it there.
Feet are the hands,
and then you give it the hip toss, so you grab the other wall. So you're not like doing it early, and then you're like here away from the wall, kind of thing. Which happened to me at Baldy, because I didn't have speed. There's no. Yeah, that's what happened to me there, because there's no and that happened because I didn't have speed. I mean, I tried tossing myself, and it's just there's no speed within the, there's no roll in there. So. Yeah. And it was rough as hell. I mean,
it's so rough in the center of that.
But that's the loop was once I figured out that, and I was in this phase of the loop, that's when I was like, I need to go loop a full pipe, because I'm right in the middle of this now.
How much does it cost to buy a metal full pipe?
Well, that was a UPS commercial that that a buddy of mine was in, and then they're like, hey, they're gonna throw that, because they bought it for them to skate it, and then they were gonna throw it away. I think it was $10,000. Whoa. And then they were going to throw it away. And I was like,
where do you throw that away?
Right here at 446. I mean, I'm not going to say my address. I'm sure you can find it. But so then it got, taken there in a truck. I just had a crane waiting. And then they grabbed it from the back of the truck. And the weird thing is, like, they lifted over my bowl, so over the mini part of the bowl. So I remember at that time was like,
please don't
drop it. If they dropped that there, they turned it around, dropped it there, and then I had a metal full pipe. But that was always there, and I never thought about doing it there. I was just, that was just the pipe that was there. My mind was at Baldy, Firm video coming up.
Legendary spot.
Last trick, like legendary, like they've always playing with the stickers. I wanted to throw the sticker game and just be like, I don't want to put a sticker, I want to put my tracks on it, and I was like, if I do it there, I don't care what happens. Like, it doesn't matter what happens, and so we can dive right into the Baldy story, because I was
Please do.
So we're finishing the Firm video, and then Lance is like, what are you going to do? Can't stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, Lance, I want to loop Baldy. And he was like, what?
You're crazy.
Yeah, we got to call.
Appropriate answer.
Call Steve, call Salba, because if something goes down, he knows I can get hurt. I'm talking to him, and I think it took him a bit. Has Lance come here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he's the
best.
He's the best. Yeah. So I was like, hey, Lance, I'm going to do this. I got to call Steve, and the video was like, I had till Friday, so it was the middle of the weekend. I was just like, no, let's go tomorrow, 8 a.m. Like, I'm like, in my head, I was like, there's just like,
you're doing
right now, I got the loop in my view and feel, right?
You've done it every which way.
Exactly. So it's either now or never. And it's the video part, like that's when you kind of, and it was at a time of the year that I calculate when I do shit that I can get hurt on. It's like, if I get hurt here, I can get better, and then I'll like,
you got you got it all.
There is a time, there's a strategy to that.
Love that.
But that, and then I was like, okay, let's go. Let's call, Steve, and I guess he called Steve, and Steve was like obviously not really believing, just kind of like, oh yeah, let's go, let's
and
go.
you'd been there plenty of times.
I knew what I was,
right.
And there's no pads. There's no taking, pads
mattresses,
up there.
or the guy to throw himself in front
Barry
of you.
wasn't around.
Barry
and Steve Alba wasn't going to throw himself. So, but I was like, okay, Humphreys, Clairville. So we show up and we stop at this Mexican place, and we was getting the breakfast burrito, at like 7:30 or something, like super early. Wow. And then, and I'm talking to Steve. Steve's just like, yeah, we're going to go session Baldy, and I'm like, I'm going to loop. In my head, I'm just like, I loop it. Do you have an out? If I get hurt, he's like, yeah, we got it. He just told me, it's Steve, he's got it.
Sure.
So we get there, Jake Piasecki, RIP, so he was around, skating at the time there, and we didn't plan it. He was there. So I start looking at Baldy and like going, okay, let me skate. And then I start skating with my regular wheels, and it was just rough. The roughness of it. And my heart just kind of sank, because I was like, even if I really want to, that's not going to happen. Yeah. There's no speed here. So I would
you would need to
go as far back as possible, and I would just kind of do this, and then I would do like a kick turn front side, and then cut straight and just go towards it. But when I do that kick turn in speed, it would hit the first, there was like right around 4:00, there was like rough patch, and then rough patch. So you would go boom, lose speed, and then boom, and then it just kind of like go away. And then I was like, it's not happening with this, and I'm just like, I can't believe it. And I saw Steve's kid had his board, and he had some cruiser wheels. And I was like, hey, let me borrow those wheels. Like, I think I can pull it, with that. And he's like, sure. So then they start seeing like I'm actually like getting serious about it. So, and I'm like, dude, are you guys ready? Like, is there filming like photos? Like, just film all of it. Film the first one because I could be done. Like it could be one and then off.
Was Humphrey shooting photos?
Humphrey was shooting photos, and then Anthony. I think there's another angle that Lance was kind of handling. Okay. But then we put the soft wheels, the cruiser wheels on, and then the cruiser's like, oh, okay, I got speed, but I would like take that turn, and because of the soft wheels, it would slow, so yeah, I'd go through that patch, dig into it. But the slow wheels kind of goes on, on transition, it kind of cuts back on when you pump, but it was still much better than my other wheels, so I was like, I think I can muscle it, right? So I'm like, all right, I just got to go for the first one. That was the hardest.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Yeah. And then boom, 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 cut, and then just go. And then I did a full back, like I went and then backflip and then landed on my feet. Again, kind of like
you're like a cat. You know what I mean? You always land on your feet. It happened
before, so then I believe, then I'm like, I can get away with it. There's no pads. I cannot.
It's concrete.
There is no landing like on your hip, then you break your pelvis. Now, I have to land on my feet first, or and it was just, that was the deal. So once that happened, I was like, okay, I can get away from it, and I just kind of cut. It was really hard to do the kick turn and then stay straight. Yeah, because you kind of want to keep going. It's kind of a safety mechanism, and. And I was like, I have to cut, and so I did it again and kind of rode the top. And then kind of backflipped again, but like more onto the transition. Right?
Gotcha.
And
on the other side.
Closer, I'm like, oh, okay, all I got. And then, there's like the screaming, the excitement. Salva's like, just the attempt, I think for him was like already.
You can't believe what he's watching.
Yeah. And then it got like, serious. And then, and I'm in the middle of attempts. I saw him having a conversation with someone about aliens or something. And I'm just like, yo, just chill. Oh, sorry. I think they were nervous and trying to change this the subject, and then and so I went again and again, and then the one I had the full speed, looked around, bailed, and then did a knee slide, like upside, like knee slid all the way from the top. It was the funnest thing, dude. I was like, oh, if that happens like that all the time, I'm good.
You're chilling.
So then I got like more and more comfortable and confident. So the next one I went all the way, looked, and I was like, I just made it, and the soft wheels kind of give it that. So I detached, a little bit from and there was no making. So you can see that it was almost a make. Yeah. And then I was like, okay.
Wait a minute. Did you ride away?
I rode all the way to here.
Oh, and then it detached.
Right about here, it detached because I didn't have the speed. It just kind of did this. Okay. And then threw me off my board. Okay. But to me, it was like, all I got to do is get more speed. And
one little push, one little push,
cut, So now I really started like giving it the pump because it's full confidence now, So now I'm like, okay. And I turned around, went. But for some reason, I went to the right a little bit, and it just kind of went, and it threw me in this cork. No. And then when it corked me, I landed sideways, putting my hand down my foot, and boom, broke my foot, and then snapped my wrist. Dude. And that was it. And I was just like, boom, and I was just, thank you, Lord, because it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a loss, and I was not going to stop. And it was like, that made me stop because I was going to keep going. I was getting tired, and I was just like, and then that happened. I'm like, oh man, I'm done. That's it. I broke my foot, and I'm just in so much pain, but so relieved at the same time. And the fact that it actually went, I was just like, dude, I can't believe that. And just that rush. And then you know how to hike. You've been to Baldy at all?
I've never been.
Okay, you have to
hike down, and
you gotta walk, and this is full hike, and it's like jump this whole thing, and now I have a broken wrist and a broken foot on the other side, and I gotta trek that all the way back. So there's a little piece of wood you put against
get over the hole,
and then I'm on my butt, and I couldn't really put my wrist is done, so I had one side.
What's in this hole?
It's like
it drops down into like it's
debris of like madness and you know,
Okay.
and every time you skate there with Salvo, you got to jump it, right?
You got to
Yeah.
Jump the hole. And I wasn't jumping back, you know. I was like,
it's big.
is it okay, Salvo?
I think he
Yeah,
was
he's like,
on
you're
that,
good.
Yeah.
But what happened there, I was like, I need an out, and I was in so much pain. There's no painkillers.
Sure.
Jake Piasecki shows up with the greenest bud.
Okay.
And it was like, dude, like you just saved my life. So like as I'm like walking out, we take this big old toke of
Sure.
of this. I was just like, oh. And it just kind of brought everything down.
Wow.
All the pain, it just kind of was manageable.
It evened you out a little bit.
It evened
like,
it out, and I was just like, oh, okay, and then I couldn't walk, so I'm like sitting on the board, and Jake is like pushing me, through the. Salva had an out from the top, like he had like the gate key to like it's another way out that you can kind of. You can somewhat ride. It's less of a mad hike, and you can get out. And so he
Every
had
time
that
I've ever
side.
gone there, I parked up top and then walked down the hill and through the opening,
Right.
and then up the.
Yeah, so like
the
now,
ditch, whatever.
I took the other route. So Jake's like pushing me on my board, as he gave me that, the magic hit. And I'm just like, oh, thanks, Jake. And it was just so cool, and
It's
then
amazing.
He totally, remember that. So we made ourselves and got out, and that was like, okay, at least I tried.
Yeah.
And that was like, okay. And then I remember I had the cast on my right foot, and I had something on my wrist, and Nixon had a party. It was like a Nixon party. So we went out to Lucadia at some house, and it was raining outside, and I got my crutches, and I go to ring the doorbell, and it's all wet, and I go to ring, I like slam, did it, boom, bow, like I'm in so much pain, I'm laughing at my situation, but just so stoked on everything,
Wow.
But then he opens the door, and I'm on the ground, all wet, crutches, and he's like, Bob. So they found me a couch, a spot, and that was my party spot, for years. And people would come out and hang with me, and I wouldn't move.
That's amazing.
Well, it's awesome. You're done with your part at that point. You're
that was
officially
it.
done.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it. And I have and had this feeling of like I really want to accomplish that, and that,
Sure.
especially at that time. And I was just like, man, I need to go back. But the reality of that situation again, and fixing, the roughness of the cement and making sure the board was right, and just going through that whole situation again is in a different time. I'm not in that loop phase.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of, it's a harsh phase, to not, when you're not in it, and then it's really a tough, because the slams could be awkward and very, you can get really hurt. Yeah. And I remember doing the Huck Jam with Tony a bunch, and we did the loop all the time. So we were like, okay, we got this. His loop is super fast, nice and tight. It was constant, so we're comfortable.
Yeah.
And then Steve-O and those guys and Bam, or it was like Wild Boys. Not so Bam was involved. So Wild Boys, it was Pontius and Steve-O.
Okay.
And so they're like,
That's when they had Tony dress up. in the
we
monkey
want to
suit.
go to your house, and we got this chimp skating. We'll put in you in the gorilla suit, and and we're like, okay, it sounds fun.
Right.
So we're out there. So both him and I got the ego inflated on the loop, right? Because we've done it all the time.
Now it's time to get checked.
Yeah, check time. Right? Reality is a bitch, and so we're out there skating, and then my loop is slow. It's not like his. I have the landing of the transition on the bottom of the roll-in is tighter. So
Gives you more
his is
speed.
like a bigger transition, so it's a little mellower. It gives you more speed. So mine's more of a bank to, you gotta like fight it, and then like it's an attack mode, and we're in cruise mode. His loop is cruise mode.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's just roll in, plenty of speed, go around, do the movement, roll away, crowd cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that. But so now I go in first, and I try it, and I come up short, and I have this weird bail slam that I was like, well, that's awkward. This is just different. I gotta I have to adjust myself. So I was like, Tony, you have to get speed here. It's like this weird, like, I feel like, your loop, it's totally different.
Right.
So we were like, okay. And then he goes, and pumps for the speed that we were talking about. And I think that's what kind of gave him the hoo-wah, the Mr. Wilson upside down, which became the Schaefer after.
That was gnarly.
Which is what happened to Schaefer. Same, that same whip, 1.5. So he went whip 1.5 and then boom to the side.
Body follows their head.
Yeah. Hit the head and, did that out snoring.
Dude.
Tony Hawk.
He was snoring?
Oh yeah, dude, full MMA.
Wow.
Like, out, and I was just like, oh shit, like, and everyone's worried. There was an ambulance there because it was for the event, so we had all that. That was a good thing.
Good, yeah.
There's Tony, wakes up and then taking the ambulance. He's like, oh man, what happened? Oh, shit, that wasn't, fun. All the comedy of Wild Boys, turned
got
dark,
sucked out of the room. Yeah,
and so he's in there. Cops show up. I don't know how they found what happened, who found out or whatever. So cop shows up, pulls up into my house. I'm going like, how did he come in? There's no warrant. They can't go just walk in like that. So I'm like, okay. And then he goes and whose house is it? And it's like, yeah, it's my house. And it's like, okay, what happened? Then we didn't have to say anything else. Tony Hawk walks in there. So Tony, that guy push you? Kind of did.
Yeah, right.
Try to get, and Tony was trying to figure out what he was trying to do. And I remember he's like looped out he's looped out.
Yeah.
In the ambulance.
Literally.
And this cop is asking him a question. He's like, what the, like, and the guy's like, he saw that there was nothing going to happen there. And he's like, you take a photo with me?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Tony was like,
broken collarbone.
Just get out. And then I was like, dude, get out of my house. Like why are you here? And then it was like immediately like,
wow.
You have a warrant? You have your, like, you got it. How'd you just, and then he was out. So that was a weird situation post. So he's trying to get like,
That's so weird.
Get your competitor to jail. Tonya Harding.
I wonder if it's like that. I wonder if it was like the ambulance drivers, and then they talked to somebody, and then
maybe there's a call, and then the guy heard it.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's in the back of it. Oh,
but
photo op.
Photo
like,
op.
what
Exactly.
Wow.
And Tony's worst career slam is in my backyard.
That's insane.
It's like,
gosh.
oh gosh, man. But that was, and I remember he was still in bed, just recovering from that.
Mm-hmm.
And after that happened, I was like, okay, I have to loop a pipe like now, or it's gonna go away, right? In my mind, I have to do it now. And I kind of used Tony's slam to kind of make me just go and do it, right? And just do it. And I'm thinking, let's go back to Baldy. And he's like, that can't be Baldy. I need speed. And then I'm just looking around, and I'm like, look at my backyard, and I look at the pipe there. I'm like, what the hell? It's been here the whole time, and I'm like, that is the spot. It's metal, it's fast, and it was just like, turn it on. Like called. I think it was we were filming. It might have been the Firm, or because it was in the video. Like I can't remember what the timeline in my Muska-like brain right now, but I was like, Tony, I'm just gonna do this for Tony, right? So I'm thinking like, okay, go back. I put the pads there. Then I have the pads. I can mess around with it, and
more of a controlled environment.
And then I just kind of like, because of the Baldy experience, I was so like, freaked out, and I wanted to make sure everything was right. But once I back and forth a couple of times, and I just kind of went for the frontside kick turn like Baldy and went. I could have made the first one. I just like kind of whirled all the way around and hit the pad. Wow. Okay, pads off, like immediate, like right off the first
You're like,
one. I was
done.
like, gone, take it out, boom. Took it all out, and then we're filming, boom, 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 make it like right around. And I was just like, wow, okay.
How big of a pipe are we talking about?
Baldy was like a 15 radius, huge, right?
Big,
it's like
15 feet, okay.
a little bigger than loops.
Huge.
A little bigger than loops. Like loops are probably at 13.
I feel like I see pictures of Baldy.
Even
I feel
12.
Like it's
I got to ask Tony.
Yeah.
But like, it's tighter, right? The loop is a tighter thing.
Okay.
So Baldy was a little out there. That might be another thing why I might detach in the speed thing.
So
it
you're
was a bigger radius. So I had to like get more speed, go further out. Right. And then my loop in the backyard is closer to the regular loops, and it's metal. So it's solid. hard wheels, and then you're
Right.
zip right around it.
And why the hell did you get that delivered to your house again? Just to have it there? That was
I mean, it was like.
who gets a metal pipe delivered?
We only skated full pipes when you found there's a truck on the side of the road. Let's go. Or there's these pipes over at Paula.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's go. But to be able to have one in the back, I can just anytime wake up and go skate at full pipe. Right?
Yeah.
And the whole loop thing, and it was
yeah.
just like, all right, I'd love to have a full pipe in my backyard. Why not? It wasn't like I want one. It was just the opportunity presented itself, and I was like, well, don't throw it away.
I love this guy, bro. I mean, could you imagine? Bringing cranes and everything. Not over my bowl.
Yeah.
Broccoli.
I'm going to get in a helicopter now, and it's amazing, Bob.
Right on,
you ever think about this life that you've created for yourself?
I am blessed, and I'm thankful every day.
It's insane.
It's I couldn't have asked. I mean, I wouldn't be able to ask for it because I wouldn't know what to ask.
Oh my God!
It's a day-to-day thing,
but it's a beautiful thing.
It's a
bro.
beautiful thing. It's just so much, and it's constant.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool about skateboarding. Why I love it so much is because there is no box. There's no time okay, you have to do it until this time and then you're done. No, you can constantly create and constantly come up with new things. It's just a matter of what you want to materialize at any level. At mega ramp, top high risk, to the smaller ramp, or to just skating street and learning something I haven't done.
Yeah.
That's it
manual
might
pad.
have been done from but I haven't done it.
Right.
So that's kind of keep that approach. NBDs are great.
Yeah, of course.
ABDs that are NBDs to you
are great
beautiful.
too.
Oh yes.
Would you did the full pipe in your backyard? Now the Baldy though, are you still bummed that you didn't do it out there in the wild? Like you want
Street pipe?
street pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously you think about it, and I'm like, well, I already, because I was able to do it in my backyard, and I took the footage to Tony, by the way, which is the end of,
dope.
So we went, and he was in his, I was like, Tony, I got to come show you something, as he's healing up from the gorilla
Rad.
suit loop, and I'm like, just know that the only reason I did this, it wasn't like, let me show it. It was like, I either did it, but using the fact that you went down at my house and to get me to go and do it for us, because you did the loop first, and you do kind of, and that's kind of how I approached it,
Wow.
And then when I did it, because I remember right before I went around it, I thought about Tony Slam.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And it's weird how
That would freak me out.
it's weird how those thoughts come to mind. That's why it's important on who you hang with, what you listen to, what you, because those at the times when you need, you will grab what you have, right? So if you have the negative thoughts, those will come out, and if that's just, it's just the nature of, of our minds, and his slam came to mind, but it just kind of made me like, just push through
Fight
it.
that.
Right?
Interesting.
And that's that. It made me think of a session with Phil Shao, skating handrails, back in the day, and we're skating this rail and at the school in Daly City, up in San Francisco area, and I'm trying to make myself go down this rail, and and I was like, and I go back and I go for it, I go back and go for it, and then as I'm pushing towards the thing, like the song, "This will be the day that I die,"
popped into your head.
Man.
Okay, I'm sorry, I might have put that thought into people's minds, so when they go try something, it might come up
seriously.
too. But dude, it came to my mind, and I was like, okay, then just go back around, and then it wouldn't go away, right? And I was like, okay, who cares? It's the day that I die. I went, and sure enough, I died. But I'm okay.
No, right,
but
right.
I slammed so hard, man.
Oh, jeez.
And it was just like, oh gosh, all right. And how do you what's the antidote other than just going, right?
Yeah.
So
Try and get a different song in your head.
yeah, listen to something different, right?
Yeah.
But
But it's also maybe interpreting that
no,
inner.
it's just feeling that, the universe is telling you, something's gonna go down here.
Yeah.
But you skate for a living, you're about to go down a handrail, so it's not like oh my gosh, what a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Sure.
that can go down, and I remember Phil was like, when we're done, it's just like, man, that's A for effort, dude. That was insane. And Phil was so fun to skate with.
Was
man.
he?
Yeah.
He's an amazing skateboarder, man.
Incredible. And such a rad dude. Good energy to be around. Not much of the fuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that kind of skating to me, I have a hard time understanding that, but
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Everybody's got their
that's, frustration makes, progression too. So
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about all the flip stuff because I assume that, the firm, they went out of business, and then were you floating for a little while? And how did the flip thing come into the picture for you?
Actually, Lance, I just saw Lance getting sucked into this, like having to do the business of it, and just constantly it's just, it's a grind, and I want to see Lance skate, and
Everybody does.
Yeah. And we're just like, and there's that side of it. It was always a big, obviously, even though it was at Blitz, and obviously there's help there, but he gets drawn,
it's his company.
It's his
You have
company.
to,
So
right?
it's constant. And we were having these conversations, and I was just like, Lance, man, you have to skate. Like, let's just, we had, because it was their firm flip, and we're constantly with, Fox and Ian, and it was just like this constant mix. And I was like, why don't we just go to flip?
Wow.
Like, let's just go, there could be something cool. Like, I don't know if there's a room for everyone at flip, but
Right.
there's definitely a move around. And I'm sure it was harder for him because letting go of a baby in a sense is a lot harder. But I think he was so drained out that he knew, he's already been doing the firm for a long time, and then he went out there and did it. And it's such a cool company, cool vibe, cool
I loved it.
energy around it. And it was awesome. But it was more of a collected decision in a sense of like, hey, this could be a good thing, And then we talked to, Rowley and everyone, and it was just like, oh, that would be really cool. So then Lance, myself, and Rodrigo would go to flip.
Right.
And then there was, you got to see, obviously, Ray and Matt Beach and all that Lance was want to make sure they're all good. So once that kind of like was, arranged and everything, and then it was a natural going, okay, we're on flip now, and let's work on a video now.
Yeah.
We had done the firm video, and I love that video because it was this, unique project, and it was all in my backyard. Which is nice. I'm trying to think, I'm actually probably one of the rare. I have a lot of video parts in my careers in my backyard.
It's amazing.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No, and then after that the mega ramp, and then that was also there.
Sure.
But the firm was like the vert bowl. It was like an all effort video part in that era. So it captured. So I really liked that, and then we finished that, and it was like we either work on another video, obviously, or where else to go. And then video parts are like not an easy situation. It's like usually, at least the older ones, it's like 2 to 3 years in the making for 5 to 6 minutes. People don't
You
get it.
yourself.
Yeah, and you obviously always want to, or you don't want another part. At least I don't.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, I can't. This is going to be better than the last one, and then so that's always there, and it's always hard too, because when you put it out, then people are like, when's the next one coming out? And you just want to grab your board and throw it at them. Just watch that one again, man. That was a long time.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, okay, let's transfer over there. And it became apparent that it's like, oh, another video would be awesome with this new crew.
Extremely sorry.
Right. Yes. And I had kind of like, in a sense, disappeared a little bit, because it was a time where like, okay, the mega ramp got into my view finder, and I'm like just all mode attack, and
hyper focused.
Hyper focused. And I was never one. I don't think that time, the social media not as intense. So there wasn't that need of constantly putting stuff on, on social media. And I was always one to be quiet and just film. So I skated the contest, but there was a time where I wasn't skating the vert events anymore. Just kind of like my focused effort was kind of spreading out because it was a lot of the same. So then I'm like, kind of like, well, okay. So then I wasn't really doing well at the events at vert.
Okay.
Just kind of there, just kind of this, but I was filming like crazy. So a lot of people probably thought, and I've had a couple of messages after the flip video that I was just like, man, that's crazy. I thought you were like done, or like, you were just kind of out,
It just disappeared.
Right. And that was just because I was just focused on, filming as many tricks as possible. on the Mega, this new window that popped open. And the thing with that too is like there was Danny and I were skating a bunch, obviously with the Point X, and then he was doing the X Games. A lot of people don't know. I don't speak about it too much, and it's just super respectful what I'm going to say. But there was a time where we were skating the X Games, and we put the rail contest. It was the first time the rail contest came up. I think he was planning on just skating that and being done with X Games, right? And then so once he put the rail up, we started skating. I loved the thing, and I was just like started thinking about all these tricks. Obviously, he already done a few tricks on it, and so obviously it was his baby and his show kind of thing. So I was trying not to be like, hey, I'm not going to pull all effort, because I don't think that's cool either. I mean, regardless of whose it is, I got to put all my effort in skating. Yeah. So I started skating, and obviously I skate switch. So I went to hit the rail switch, and I kind of got close or whatever, and he was in the corner. You kind of saw it, and then he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, Bob, you gonna skate the thing switch?" And I was like, I was gonna try something. Now, I'm doing the switch 50-50, and I'm like, yeah, but he's like, well, when we grow, like he was talking about him and Colin, like, because when one touches the trick, and I get that, and one touches one, and I wasn't planning on doing the switch 50-50.
Okay.
I was planning on doing a switch nose grind or a switch, because I knew he was doing that. So this is strategy competition mode. Play ping pong with you, I'm not going to want to lose.
Yeah.
So I can still be your friend, and and totally fine. And
right.
But in that moment, it seemed like this front came on really, and I respected it, but it kind of bummed me out a little bit, right? And because that's not how I was I never approached it. That was the thing of showing Tony. It wasn't like, look, I outdid. It's this like respect of like, man, that's inspiring. I want to progress.
Yeah, sure.
And for whatever reason, because that was really simple, but it just kind of sparked a thing in me, and I was just like, okay, I kind of pulled back. And then when we were skating the contest, I didn't really go for stuff. Like I was just kind of holding back, and that kind of hurt me.
Yeah,
a little bit, because I don't like doing that, and I don't think that's But I knew that I was being respectful. I didn't want him to feel like that was. But then I'm like, man, but this is a contest. It's just like it's go all out.
Yeah. It doesn't matter whose it is. Yeah.
Exactly, and it was all good. It was just like a thing that made me turn the volume down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that kind of grabbed me a little bit, and he won the contest. I mean, he did the switch 50-50. I don't even listen, it doesn't mean I was going to make it, because it's hard, and it was hard, and I wasn't skating it that much. I probably wouldn't have made it if I tried it, but it kept me from trying it.
Sure.
And so he won the event, and it's all good. And that just kind of bottled in. Right. And that's why I did so many tricks in the flip video.
That kind of put a little fire.
Okay, I won't do it there, and I'll hold myself here. But when I get home,
I'm going nuts.
I'm going nuts. Yeah. And it was out of respect and out of like inspiration.
Right.
But that situation, even if it was a misunderstanding, because we were cool afterwards. Just like the way, he thought I was doing the switch 50. It was just, whatever.
Competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was all good, because it's not even, but it was really, if I left that out here, I'd probably be like, okay, it needs to go out, and it needs to, because it was the biggest inspiration to like putting all those tricks down in the flip video and putting that rail. And I wouldn't have done that if I wasn't inspired by Danny, because the things that he did in the DC video was just out of this world. So that took me into taking those steps, and that's full inspiration mode. And Danny's been a lifetime inspiration. So, but that little interaction at the event just kind of made me, okay, well then now when I build this, I'm going to learn every possible trick that I can possibly think of. And I'm just going to and it just started coming. And the first trick that I learned was a tray flip board.
Tray flip board.
Oh, wow.
It was a full moon. I was just like, it took me a big, it was like getting dark. Yeah, I was getting like right, that end of the day kind of thing. I still like, and it took me a while to like get the rail to the right radius. So what happened is Jeff King and I were there, and we grabbed the Point X rail,
Okay.
You know, as I grabbed it from Danny, and they're like, so that's what I mean. Why that event is nothing. It's just what sparked me into trying these tricks. Because Danny was always so supportive and there for all of it. So I wanted to build the rail. Hey, let's go over to Point X. Yeah, let's grab that. And so I put the Point X rail there, and it didn't work the same way because the trajectories are different.
Okay.
The landing ramp at my house, I raised it a bit so that we landed better on the trajectory. You know, so it was an improvement of that. So then I put the rail up, and I'm like, okay, Jeff, let's, you know, cut it here, bend it there, you know, and then I go out there and try it. Oh no, this whole thing needs to go lower. Cut it there, cut it. So we did like hours and hours of little cuts,
yeah,
and welding, little cuts and welding, little cuts and welding. Molded the thing. Took forever, but then now it's like all filled with cuts, and it's just flimsy and not really there.
Okay.
So then I'm like, okay, I need a new rail. I'm like gonna build, I was gonna buy this thing, and I had the Grand Canyon rail chilling right there in my yard because once I did that, I was like, I'll take the rail back. We donated the wood, but I'm like, I'll keep the rail for, you know.
When you did just going into the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, so the rail to the Grand Canyon.
We'll
go into that right after
we'll
this.
talk about it.
But so then that rail was sitting in my backyard, and I'm like, oh, let's grab that. So then I grabbed the Point X rail that we kind of cut up and sliced up into this mold, you know, put it beside it, and then kind of like did it so brand new.
You kind of fabricated off of this first trial version.
Yes, off the Grand Canyon, the rail. So like the rail at my house is the Grand Canyon rail.
Oh wow!
So
on the ramp.
One on the ramp, yeah, is that rail, and I feel like that obviously comes with some power. You know? And then tricks once we found the radius and everything, because it's hard enough to skate the thing, you know. So if you put the rail at the wrong radius, at the wrong trajectory, now you're hitting hard. So yeah, you're gonna get a 50-50,
right?
But all the other tricks are not gonna. So it only works when the 50-50 flows, right? So that's how when I built that, it was just like when I do this 50-50 and it's just like get on, get off, like, and it's easy.
Yeah.
Then I move on to then all the other tricks can happen. So that's why it took so long. And then once that was there, then I was like, oh, okay, I can try anything.
So it's there. You don't adjust it.
No, it's
for
there,
anything.
done. Yeah, no adjustment.
Okay.
How long? Obviously, the tricks take you a while, but are you getting like one clip a day, or are you getting like multiple clips a day when you're doing stuff like that?
Flip video, it was because the door opened. You know, any. It would have been harder if I went and did like a vert part. You know, I'd have to go back and like, okay, what did I not do?
This is like a whole new.
So now it's a whole new. So it's like back into little kid counting 1, 2, 3, 4 new tricks a day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, and it's exciting.
Right.
Know, it's like, oh, this new thing. Oh, you know. So then I'm like. First, I did kickflip indie 50-50s. You know, like I did kickflip mute board slides. I did all that, like to kind of like
feeling it out. You're grabbing it safer.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is cool, but like, it'd be much cooler if I didn't grab. Right. You know,
right.
You know, and then
did you ever wax the rail?
No, we just paint it. We do that the coping paint.
Coat?
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
like some coping paint and then it kind of good slide. Oh. So then that when I did the tray flip board, it was like. It just I would flip the board and then the rail's right there, so it just became a little easier. So once I did that was the first, trick of the rail filming, and then it was just like, I'd think of stuff and just do it, keep skating. And
switchback tails.
Then all those.
Right.
That board that you skate, I did a tray flip on one on flat ground. That thing is one of the hardest things to even ride.
Yeah, on the slow and on the flat ground, it's tough, but when you're going fast. Then it becomes a street board.
Oh yeah.
The vert when you're like the mega ramp when you go off the 70 foot, like when you go 20 plus feet, the quarter pipe feels like a vert ramp.
Oh, okay.
Because now you're like it's the timing and how fast you go through the transition. When you're going really fast, it shortens the size of it.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes it. I mean, it's scary, hairy, but then it's like, oh, this is a little bit more familiar. Like it's like So the slower you go on it, then it's just this like
ginormous wall that you're trying to climb.
So if you do a kick turn, it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
We go really fast.
The speed just kind of it evens everything out a little bit.
Out,
right?
Yes. So
what size board is the mega ramp board that you skate?
Listen, if this was a Bucky Lasek interview, he would give you the
exact details.
He's got the race car with the
wheelbase and everything. Yeah.
But I know zero
If it feels good, you're gonna ride
I'm like, oh, what's people are like, oh, I'm like, I put it on and it's good. Oh, this board doesn't feel good, and then let me get another board. If anything, Danny he figured out that size, and I'm like, oh, let me rock that, and then this feels good.
Yeah.
So I think it's an 8.5 because it I don't know the size of it. It's a little bigger than the regular board.
little taller.
Yeah, a little taller, and then so the width is about the same. And then
tightest trucks of all time.
Tightest trucks as could be. There's no turning.
No turning.
Right? Zero. Just got to accept wobbling.
Yeah.
Wobbles are a part of of mega ramp.
Gotcha.
There is no let me tighten it up so I don't wobble. No, let me tighten it up so I don't wobble and slam.
Yeah.
But you got to accept the wobble. It's like accept it, and then it's just it is what it is, and then you handle it. But I tried dropping out of my bowl, and when we want to go in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So when I was getting ready for the Grand Canyon, I'm like, okay, I got this board. I got a parachute on my back. How weird is this going to feel? Am I going to be able to skate?
You have to throw your weight off.
Yeah, throw my weight off. So I put the base rig on, and then I went to drop in on my vert bowl with my mega board. This is my mega board. This is what I'm going to use the Grand Canyon. I dropped in and then slammed. Oh. Because I dropped in as a bowl. So I dropped in, I wanted to there's no
weight
turning.
distribution was all off.
And it's just designed to go straight. So when I went to put my body to turn, it just went down, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, there's no turning in this thing. So that board doesn't work. So I grabbed the regular board, did some kick turns just to feel the base rig on my back. And then and I would do these medicine ball practices, stability with the base rig, trying to just get my brain in the fact that I have this.
Right.
Maybe overboard, but when you're doing
I don't think it's overboard
something
at
on that
all.
level, you need your brain to go through those processes, and you need to think about what you do will kill you if you don't do the right thing. And that's the reason why I wore a full face helmet.
I mean, you're jumping into the Grand Canyon.
And you have a rail, and you have an issue of
wind
of that, but then you have the issue of if you bail, if I got an open face helmet or whatever, and then I go to try the trick and I don't hit it, and then I hit my face or my chin on the rail, I'm getting knocked out.
That's right.
And I'm dead because
That's right.
it's a few seconds, and I might wake up in it, but I'll be on the ground already, by the time I wake up.
Oh my god.
So then that was okay, full face, right? And then but what I didn't, so okay, I got the gear and I'm all good to go. So we're hanging out at the Hellhold Bend. It was the area. It was the Navajo Nation. We dealt with them, trying to get the permission. The same spot where Travis Pastrana did his first backflip.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was it was kind of inspired by that, and going I want to do it on skateboard, and I don't want it just to be a launch ramp because anyone can go out there and skates and base jumps and just kind of launches
fly
off the thing. So I wanted to add some tech, and the only thing I could think of was we were skating mega ramp all the time. I was like, a mega rail, even a mega launch with a little bit of speed, anyone can really go, and then you flail out.
Sure.
But to get on the rail then it takes a certain. I didn't want anyone
skill.
else to go out, and be able to replicate it in a sense.
Right.
Nowadays, I think Mitchie Brusco is one that could because he's a great skydiver, great wind tunnel flyer. So he's really good at flying.
Oh wow. Oh, okay.
And he skates mega.
Yeah.
So we do jumps together. I mean, he's really talented on and I think that's one of the reasons he's so aware because it helped me out a lot when skydiving and skateboarding, just spatial awareness, 3D, what's going on around, and maybe why I land on my feet, when I come around. It's just, so, but that's, once I was hanging out in this area and it was snowing, wind, constantly all week when, again, Tim Payne.
You had everything
and
set
crew,
up.
We're out there setting it up. We're hanging out and they're building the ramp on the spot and it's raining, it's snowing. And then it's this, and they're like, man, I was like, just keep building because you never know, right? The day I was just like, I'm not going to, you just keep building.
Right.
And they had never done anything like it, obviously, and neither had I, and I don't know where to put the rail. And, so we kind of put the ramp on the ground, just like the radius of the thing, and then the radius of the rail. Okay, that sounds like, that looks like kind of could work. And then, okay, build it like that.
Can't really test it out.
No, you don't. There's no. So
they put my parachute on.
Right. And so we do all that. And then I'm like, how are you gonna put it out there? I was like, oh, we're just gonna build some tracks, and then, we're gonna build the launch, and then when you're ready to go, we're gonna push it out as far out, because I needed to be as far out as possible, because the cliff was like, it had the death bank, which goes forward like this, and then base jumping, I would never run and base jump that cliff, because I wouldn't be able to. I would like hit the wall.
You would clear it. You wouldn't clear it.
And we test by throwing a rock. You go 1, 2, crash. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. I throw it again. 1, 2, crash. And I'm going and then the guy who's with me, and Charles Bryan helped me out, skydiver, Flyboys, awesome dude, helped me out a lot. And then the guy who's doing the discovery, it was doing the host was Jeb Corliss, and he's an incredible base jumper, but he was like, we threw the rock, he's just like, dude, I wouldn't jump here, And I'm going well, I'm going to be on a board, and I'm going to be flying. This is a mega, so I know I'm going to be going forward speed a lot. So everyone around me, at that place, was like, don't do it.
Really?
Oh, whoa.
And the only person who wasn't was Charles, because he knew, and I was just like, dude, let them, it's all good. I know it's gonna be fun. So we were both like, because we know, when you know, right?
Okay, yeah.
If it's not, I don't care if the whole world's telling me no. If I know, I'm going.
Okay.
If I don't, I'm not going. And it's just, what's the wind conditions and all that. That's really the main thing.
Right.
So, okay, I got speed to go out. It's the rail. We can make it over. Does the ramp work? I don't know. Again, Lance is there.
Okay.
The firm guy, the flip. Yeah, right. It was right. It was 2006, so we were full flip mode.
Gotcha.
So they show up, so he's hanging. I love having Lance around for moments like this, and he's always been around to almost all of, the Baldy thing and then the Grand Canyon thing. So, I'm out there and I'm like, okay, it's time to go, right? So first I built 7 boards exactly the same. Right, because you're gonna lose. Every time I go, I'm losing one. So there's only so many attempts, right? But we wake up the night before. I'm doing snow, a snowman with my daughter. We're doing a snowman at out in Flagstaff. I think it was where we can and I'm like, okay, and let's just see. And then the next day we had the helicopter lined up. We had all that. So I wake up. And I look outside, and it's just blue skies, zero wind. That didn't happen not once that whole week of building. It was just all wild, wind, snow, right? Just madness, right? And then it just wakes up
everything falling into place.
No wind, right? And if there was any wind towards the face of the thing, no go.
No go.
There's all these we're just check mark, right? I'm not going.
Variables.
I'm not gonna die. I want to have fun. So, so let's and it all just lined up. Crazy. And then they push the ramp out, and then now, I'm on the top of the rolling, and it's okay, you said you're going to do it. And
now or never.
Again, all the cameras, the production, you can kind of put yourself in those places, and you got to know it's coming.
What was this for? Was it for?
This was for the Discovery Channel. They had this show called Stunt Junkies.
Yes.
And right. I remember the call was because first, I had to, give the idea to all this, and
sure.
So and the guy's like, oh yeah, we want you in, What do you want to do? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put this ramp out on the rail and around the Grand Canyon, and and there was kind of silence in the call, and they're like, okay, and I'm like, all right, they bid, and so I started designing things, started tripping out, figuring out how I would, pull it together or whatever. Okay. But then all that passed, right? The phone call, we're up. Now I'm on top of the rolling, and it's real, right? It's
scared at all? Or?
No, I can't wait to go, but I want to make sure it works. I don't know if I'm going to
you can't make sure it works. You can't.
That I can hit the rail and not overshoot it or
hit it.
Hit the rail. Yeah, because the way I built it, instead of doing it like this so that I would have the error and hit that, I just kind of pull the thing all the way down. So the ramp's so the rail comes up. So anywhere I go, I'm going to keep going. So I did
you could bounce off of it, if anything.
Off and keep going. So I was like, okay, let's do that. So I put it in this place. And when I looked on the ground, I kind of aligned it, but I wasn't really thinking of the ramp or the ollie that I needed to be above it. I just kind of was thinking just straight into it. So right when I rolled in, I looked at it and I tried to ollie up and it just didn't go. So I kind of went to the side of it and then grabbed, got my shoulder around the thing and it whipped me around.
What do you mean? You were trying to hold on to the rail? Like,
No,
I don't want to go.
I was on it, so I had tried to get out, but my arm was already there, so it kind of like grabbed the rail and then like flipped me and it almost pulled my shoulder out. So that was my that was my parachute pull. I didn't think of that. You know, and I just kind of like went like, did like a roll and then like tracked out and pulled the parachute, and I was just like, oh, I got to fix the ramp. I got to, you know. So in my head, I'm like, we got to make some adjustments.
So you kind
You had a lot
of
of time to think on the way down.
yeah.
Right.
I was already thinking as I hit that, you know, as I did that in my brain, I was already thinking, grab my board, go back up on the top. You know?
So it wasn't just a one and done thing. You had 7 boards
I
ready
had
to
7
go. You had
boards.
7 attempts. You could do something. So if you just flew over the rail and didn't even touch it, you'd be like, oh, go back up, make some adjustments.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And the first go, I had the helicopter fly right by the rail, and then I jumped out, you know, and then pulled my parachute because there's also the landing situation. That's street landing, right? So like, it's like cactuses, rocks, like, you know, mud,
rattlesnakes.
Yeah, there's like there's no error in like where you end up, right? So I had to also get that, you know, so walk every helicopter down, look around the ground, look, you know, ground. And I was like, okay, I got to do this. Got my line, you know.
That's stuff going on, Bob.
A lot, you know, and but that comes from I was already a skydiver, had like a few hundred jumps, and, you know, that was already in my it just wasn't a base jumper yet, you know. I did some practice jumps over in Idaho where it's legal on that bridge that's legal that people jump.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, I did a bunch of those, and I was like, okay, I got this base rig. I mean, it's easier than a parachute, a little bigger. It's like skating a longboard. It's like just like nice and floaty, and
well, because you have less time for the parachute to do
and
its
you
job.
want it to open, and you want it to be nice and soft, you know, to like easier soft landings because of the base, you know, because you're like landing, they're in between poles, cars. Like,
yeah.
So that situation, like, so when I landed and figured out, oh, it's all good. It was like a right turn or a left turn on the cactus. It was like, I remember like,
You had your roadmap.
Totally. And then it was like, okay, we got to fix that. So I go, and I thought that in my mind, I just needed to ollie. So I went again without adjusting the ramp and kind of threw a board away in a sense because I knew I had to, you know, I was just like, no, I think I can just, and I just wanted to go right away. So I dropped in and tried to ollie, and again, it kind of hit hard, but I didn't, you know, it was like a easier, it was just a bail.
Okay.
And then boom, lose another board. And I'm like, oh man, I should have just, and I sat down, I got up there, and Lance was looking at sideways, and we were just like, man, dude, this is hard. I'm having a hard time. Like, I don't know what to do. And then he was like, why don't you just make that ramp like a foot longer, you know, because it just kind of kept the radius going. So now it throws me up a little higher, right? Because it was throwing me here. Then it was the best solution. That was Lance. You know?
Okay.
I was just like, oh yeah, that could. All right, Tim. So they're out there like making they couldn't pull the ramp back.
So they should make an extension.
So then they were doing on this like by the they're all like
the cliff.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Doing that thing, and so they made the ramp longer. And then I went again, and it got myself on the rail. But then when I jumped off, it wasn't the way I wanted it. I got 50-50 when I kind of like popped out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like, and then keep going as far as I could
with your board still on your feet.
Yeah.
So then the Discovery guys, once I got on the rail, they're like trying to get he's got it. Wrap the thing. I was like, no, I didn't get it. No, even like they're trying to, you know, finish
their show.
like, through the end of the show, and it's like, no, dude, it's not. I have to go again. It's not done, you know. And they're like, oh, okay. They're worried, you know, and I'm just like, no, I have to do it again. So then I went again, and then got it, you know, perfect. Popped out, held it for. I think I could have held it longer now, and then popped out, got it, and then in my mind, obviously, I'm like, okay. Cricket grind, Smith grind. I wanted to keep going. I wanted this day not to end, right? When these guys are like, "You're gonna die if you go again," and I'm like, "No, this is the funnest day of my life. Let me go." But then they're like, "No, shut down the helicopter guy," and then that was that.
That was it. You couldn't do any more.
That was it.
Were you packing your own chutes or someone else?
No, I had Jeb and Charles.
Right.
They're better at it, and you know, and I trust them more than I trust myself in that situation. So
it's your lifeline.
Yeah, and there was a scary moment on that because Charles was jumping with an IMO, which is the 35 millimeter camera, but like the mini. Mm-hmm. So it's like not full. It's like a portable 35, which back then it was like so he did like base jumps with this thing in his head, and it's like so heavy.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get a shot, and we do this helicopter jump, but you know. The bank is like this, And then we're on the helicopter, so I just jump straight down. I know the bank is there. He wants to get a shot of me.
Beside you, yeah.
Yeah, like to get,
but he's
like,
close to the wall then.
But so he does this mini jump backwards, and it kind of carries, and he's filming me, and then he looks and he sees he's gonna hit.
Oh my god!
So then he pulls the parachute real quick and and gets him out of the, and then we were both, because I saw it, I'm like, and we got on the ground, and then I pulled him aside. I didn't want it to be
a big thing.
I was like, he's like,
you could have died.
And then we're like, okay, that was one of the scary moments, that situation there. But then it was all gold, and Sturt was there, so Sturt got some photos.
Of course,
but
death-defying.
He wasn't the most motivating guy to be around.
Really?
Just because he's like, so, and he's just Sturt, so he's just straight. So is this how you choose to die?
No way.
Oh yeah. So, and every time once I started flying or jumping, like, he's just like, okay, so now you got this new thing, so that's how you're gonna die, huh?
Oh geez.
Just straight up. And I'm just like, because I've hung around Jake Phil. I mean, I know that game.
Yeah.
So I'd just be like, yeah, Sturt. But anyone else could be like, what the fuck? He said I was gonna die that way, and then, then you lose your, and that's in your head.
Sure.
Yeah. Now I'll jump even if I have, this is going to be the day that I.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I would think twice about that, but
Don't rewrite that song.
Yeah, rewrite it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, and that was awesome. It was the funnest day of my life, and I wish I could go back and do more tricks, and but I mean, it was great. It was a magical moment, and it was almost like it allowed, because I remember when I was there, like I was just reflective, like I was constantly introspective. Autism kick in. Whether you are or you aren't, you become, when that is about to go down.
Sure.
Things like on that level, then I would detach myself a bunch from the crowd and kind of go out. And I knew it was Indian Nation, so. And one of the Indians were saying like, oh, like, a couple guys died here last time trying to something about,
oh my God,
mountain biking something,
Oh God.
I can only imagine the
so they
when you're
just
trying to get
understand,
permits, whatever, like explain to them what you want to do. They're just
yeah.
okay, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, and because they're not, they're their own thing, they can just allow that to happen.
Yeah.
But it was a funny negotiation. Like it started at $3,000 and it ended at 10.
Okay.
But it was like 3, then 4, then 6, and I was just like, yo, you have to lock in at one point.
Somewhere, yeah.
No, it's $10,000. And I'll donate the wood. Oh, okay. Because they go back to the chiefs
tribe,
have meetings, and they come back, and it's fine. I mean, I would have paid 20. I mean, they deserve it.
Yeah.
I just didn't have it. It got to a point where I was like, it's not in my budget. So I'm like, okay, let's. But so while I'm there, I'm just like, just thankful and praying and asking permission that that I can do this here. It's not out of like this like, hey, I'm gonna let me rip and pillage this and get the most out of it. It was just
like become one with
and you have to be there, and it's just so everything flows, and you're not doing anything stupid.
Sure.
Because it's a stupid idea already, so you want to make less of a of a scene, and my dad's there, and it's just like, okay, and he can't see because it's like the death bank. So when I
Once you go over the
when I
edge,
jump
you're
in, there's
gone,
some footage that you kind of like, you see the board and I disappear. And we cut, and like I kind of opened my parachute right then, but he's not seeing any of that.
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
They don't know until there's a radio like, oh, parachute's open, right? So,
Gosh.
so I mean that was a thing. So I don't want to die in front of him, even if Sturt's saying that
This
that's
is
the way.
right.
Wow.
But yeah. So I mean, it was just a magical moment. It's
amazing.
Yeah.
Bob.
Super fun, man. And ideas like that. I mean, it's like. The reason it's such a blessing, and I'm so thankful, is because things like that. Think about when you land a new trick, whatever. Like think about how long you've been alive, how long that the world's been around, and that trick hasn't been done, right? So that time to manifest things. That's why I feel like skateboarding is like every new trick is like they're little prayers. At least the way I see it.
Okay.
Right? I kind of feel like it's my manifestation of like this, idea of a, and I'm getting creative, and I'm putting something down that wasn't around. Right. So then it's the same thing with catching a wave.
Yeah.
You surf. Yeah, you can take, I'm surfing all day, but like, think that wave was never there. It's only there for you. And you're the one who caught it.
In that
and
moment.
That's not going to repeat because it's completely different. And it just keeps coming, but it's new all the time.
Yeah.
So in skateboarding, I feel like every trick you do, every new thing is like a manifestation of, what you want to put, you know, in the world. So it's like, okay, it's many prayers, many thankfulness, you know, and that's why I have a hard time with the frustration, because I feel like, man, you're so blessed. But
you're right.
I've been frustrated before, you know, so you get it.
It's
but
a part of it,
you
right?
mature in a sense, and you start like going, and I really work hard towards not manifesting that energy when I'm skating. So like that's when I was skated vert and I would compete, I would bail, I'd smile. People had a hard time, like, why is he so happy he just bailed the frontside grind? I can be pissed, but I'm like, what am I gonna do? I have a dream job. I skate for a living, and I just bail the frontside grind. Yeah, okay, well, you got 2 more runs, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's and it keeps you in a better place when that third run goes down, and you're not like in this frustrating mode.
Yes.
You know, it just keeps it open, because when you're that, then you close up.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of like the theory behind that. And it works sometimes, and you know, other times it doesn't. But it makes me, you know, a little bit more happy and lighter about it.
Sounds good to me. Where were you 10 years ago when I was trying these tricks and breaking my board, huh?
Man, I was doing the same.
It's amazing, bro. You've done so much, and you're just continue to do so much, bro. It's amazing.
Hey, it's endless, right? It's creativity.
Man, I can't wait to see what you do next. Let me know whenever you do that. I want to go down to the Mega. I want to check it out.
Totally.
Maybe have a coffee on top of it.
Totally.
I won't
No
do
problem.
anything.
Hang out.
Yeah, I just want to hang out.
Definitely.
Talk to us about what's going on with this burn kit.
Yeah.
You have a certain new little venture going on here.
Yeah.
What's going on with this?
It's Burnkit skate parks. So it's like it's portable skate parks. So it's portable obstacles. And while I was, and we can get into this later, but like while I was president of the Brazilian Confederation of Skateboarding for 2 years of my life, in this last couple 2 or 3 years, I was able to kind of like connect a lot of high level meetings and adjust the funding from the Olympic Committee, like public money, towards our confederation, which was going somewhere else. Brazil, as we learned, I've known because I've been there for a long time, but the world has learned the amount of corruption and that went down during Olympics and World Cup. The building of stadiums, you know, the overpricing of things. I mean, people, they didn't know how to steal a little, and they just broke the country by greed, right? Yes. So, and that, a lot of that had to do with the Brazilian Olympic Committee and all the confederations, because of the flow of and a lot of people involved, right?
Yeah, sure.
So the day that I was at the Brazilian Olympic Committee doing a meeting, the president of the committee went to jail. It was like that same. It was like a weird, right? But I came in to kind of flow that money towards us, because that was fair. So, but I mean, I'd come in and like do a lot of things. I mean, last thing I wanted was to be president of this thing.
Okay.
But, you know, it was just like I felt a need. You know, I got no salary out of it. It was really hard and a lot of work. But we adjusted it, and, you know, long story short, we got that. We got the funding. We get like almost $1 million a year from the, you know, so that's why we get we do all the events, all the park in the street. We have the national team. I mean, sick. Those guys get paid to go everywhere, all tickets, hotels, plus money, health insurance. I mean, all the things I dreamed of, you know, and you know, was able to provide that for them. So I feel good that we were able to pull that together and put that out. So those meetings, obviously I met a bunch of people, and I had this idea of this portable skate park company. And then we're at a meeting with the president of the industry of São Paulo. So like the industry federation. So all, you know, businesses in São Paulo pay a percentage to this meeting, and then they wanted to build this skate park. And then I was like, I have this portable skate park idea that it could be easy for certain situations, and you know, and that could work. It was already in my pipeline, so it was just like, maybe this could be a solution for that, you know. And then we started working on a couple of things, and then they were like, yeah, we want to get, you know, a few of those, you know. So then I went out and we worked out towards and sold, you know, a few of those kits. We built like, you know, a couple of flat ramps, like launch ramps, and then quarter pipes, and a flat bar, and a high jump, and a manual pad. Oh wow! And it's all like interchangeable. They all fit. You can put them together. And
like little Lego type.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I connected with my buddy Silvio and Bruno from Rio Ramp Design, and then we're like, hey, let's team up and kind of come up with this, this company. I'll call it Burnkit, make it an easy, and we just it went from there. And now it's like evolving into mini ramps, even a vert ramp if I do, and I'll do it. And if I do a portable mega ramp to get to these events, it'll be all for events, right? Live events. I did 4 of them in Brazil, and we had a ramp there. It was just wood, and eventually it got, bad or whatever.
Right.
So if I do it, I would kind of taken Tony's, obviously Tony's ramp, and I, toured with him at Hook Jam, and I saw how easy it is. I mean, yes, it's expensive, but it's one
in the long run.
And in the long run, it just kind of pays itself. Just constantly demos, boom, you can split it up. So all that, just put it together, figure like, okay, let's, do a business. And what most people don't realize is skateboard. I mean, not many people make a lot of money skateboarding. I was one of them that was able to have top sponsors, made a lot of money in salaries, but I put it all back into Dreamland. People didn't build that for me. I grabbed my salary and then put it in. And then, I obviously, S put some money in the bowl, and then, Hurley at the time helped me out here. But the majority, for me to pull it together, it had to be my, monthly salary. So I didn't put money away. I spent it.
Wow.
So when the time, but I had to rebuild. If I didn't put the mega ramp out, my career in a sense probably would have ended a few years ago. Yeah. So that gave me life. So it's a reinvestment, right?
Sure.
I mean, I look at like, okay, I didn't have a game out, right? So it's not like that's, and I grew up, having to do everything on my own. So I'm kind of making decisions too. Like a long time, I didn't really take certain sponsors that would give me a lot of money just out of, principle.
Yeah.
Even, and looking back, it's like, there's maturity there because you could have done this and that, but it just kind of like, that's just my path. So I got to a point where, my income in the US, once it was all done and my contract with Hurley, when it all ended. So 2 years ago, I went into 0 income in the US, right? Out of like that reality. Yeah. And then because I didn't have much money saved, it really put things in check. And then I obviously had a few things going on in Brazil and all that, but at the same time, I became president of the Confederation, and there's no salary there. Not only there's no salary, there's a conflict of interest, and then for me to get sponsors, they wouldn't, because now I'm the president of a confederation, and it has all this dirty image around because all the other confederations, there's a lot of money that was stolen, all this fun. So it was just a weird time, but it was a very high diamond carving, time like of like lapidating me and like going like, okay, reinvent. Right. Because if not, you got to sell Dreamland. You got to, So then I started doing a lot of different things, trying to think of different ways to.
I love it.
To make money in the U.S. Brazil helped me out because I did have some sponsors there and some things going there. But when you divide the real to dollar, it's divided by 4. So then now you can't make Brazil money and have U.S. bills.
Sure.
It's just the other way around would work great.
Yeah.
But so then I'm like, okay, you have to reinvent. And skateboarding was really tough because before I was like, supported to skate. Now I have to think. So I had less and less time to skate.
Yeah.
And even my mind too and energy was just like, okay, I have to take care of, all of this.
A lot of stuff on your plate.
I was just like, okay, I have to figure this out. So then I got into, way more of an entrepreneur mode instead of like going, I need to, find sponsors because that'll end.
Yep.
I need to create my own brands and my own companies to do it because that's going to be so there's 2 avenues I took. The first one was a cannabis company.
Okay.
And it took me a couple of years, obviously, to navigate that whole regulatory madness. And the taboo of, putting it front, obviously, with the name that I have and all that, it's just kind of like, it is a shock to people, even though I've smoked weed all my life. It's like, but I was smart enough not to put that front out, and not be like, posting like smoking joints and all that. Because it's like, this is something I did and I don't need to put that out.
No.
And you would lose sponsors and it was just like, it's not the time.
It's a different landscape.
Yeah. And so I took my time for that. But once that hit, the zero income, one to answer to. And in a way, as harsh as that was, it was also liberating because I have no. I'm like, listen, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
I do ride for Oakley, and I rode for them for a long, with the Brazilian budget, and that was cool. But the people that I had around me weren't going to drop me because of that.
Gotcha. Right.
And the timing, and the whole medicinal and CBD, and kind of pulling a corner, because it does help me. Like I said at Baldy, if I didn't have that green bud, I was in serious pain.
Yeah.
I could have taken an opioid.
Sure.
And those always kind of gave me a hard time. I never really. When I got hurt, I take it and it make me feel bad, weird, and I try to get off it as quick as possible.
Talk about addictive.
Plus you can you have a beer, and then I've done it, and you're like after injuries, and you're like, oh, this is fun, this is cool,
I feel a lot
and then you're
better,
like, I can do this, and I can keep going, and then all of a sudden you don't even need it anymore, and you're still doing it, right?
Yeah.
So I would pull out and go to cannabis.
Right.
As quickly as possible, always. Just the acute phase, I do it, and then I just pull it out. Because you can live with pain.
Sure.
You don't have to live with 0, numb. You can live with a 4. And not be addicted to all this madness. So that's kind of how I was like, man, let me do something with a cause, because I have a hard time just doing it for money.
Yeah.
You have to have a cause behind it. Money has to be the consequence, and it's great to make money, but you have to have a purpose. At least in my view, and that was this is the right time. I'm going to start cannabis company. But what everyone's doing is not really what I don't want to go for the recreational, corner of action sports and smoke a joint. Because I could pigeonhole myself in that and still, blunts and, all that. And because I have asthma, and smoking is not good, and I don't smoke anymore. It's rare. And when I go usually to dabs and just a little.
Oh, okay.
Or vaping, but mostly gummies, edibles,
Gotcha.
and that kind of keeps my lung, and I still get the THC and the CBD.
Yeah.
So it's good. So I'm like, all right, it's out. I'm just gonna start this, and that's that.
Yeah.
And then so it's Farmaleaf.
Farmaleaf.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the idea behind Farmaleaf is that it's plant-based medicine. So cannabis, yeah, sure, but there's moringa, there's copaiba, there's all these and being from Brazil, obviously the access to Amazon and the knowledge of the forest there, and I have a lot of friends, and one of my partners his wife's from the Amazon, and he really knows that in the mix of that Daime religion, right, the ayahuasca and all that stuff. So they're all mind opening and power plants, even psilocybin, shrooms are just take it, have fun, woo. It's low dose psilocybin is really tracking with antidepressant, so in all the psychedelics that's coming out again, that's really a powerful antidepressant,
right,
and way less of a gnarly, which all these other drugs that are out there. So it's a solution to what's going on and to my life, and I feel like all that's happening in the U.S. and all these young guys in high school, whether it's soccer or football, NFL, whatever, they get hurt at 17. They go to the doctors and they prescribe the opioids.
Yep.
And they get addicted to it. And then now they, if you have money, you're getting the opioids and you're getting it, and then you don't have money anymore. Or the guy says, okay, no more prescription for you. You're done. That period is done. But now you're addicted.
Now you're hooked, yeah.
Now you go to the black market for pills. If you have money, you keep that going.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, you go to heroin.
Right.
And then when you go to heroin, you die. The overdose. That's what we're seeing. We're not seeing that with just young people. We're seeing that with old people, overdosing in their cars.
Oh, yeah.
So we're in a serious play of situation that's going on. And I felt like if I started this company, it would be for this, bringing the awareness to plant-based medicine.
Yeah.
And changing the way that you kind of go about, treating your injuries.
Sure.
And that's the push behind it. And it's not just cannabis. And I went for the full medicinal approach, for the identity of the brand. And that's the line. It's trying to help people in the sense we all connect through pain. And I happen to feel a lot of it over my career, and I know what I'm talking about. So it's not only for skateboarders. This is people in general, and so that's the idea behind Farmaleaf. And eventually, I would love to get into psilocybin capsules and the taboo side, but just going for the prescribed and letting the actual studies as it progresses, to show that, and then presented as a product. So it's a little bit of a taboo, break the mold.
Yeah. I think we're still a little bit away from that.
A little bit, but quicker than you think.
Yeah.
If we do what we need to do and we get out and stop the hiding,
Yeah.
The hiding hurts because everyone knows and everyone does it. But there's this when I came out and said, I started doing these posts every Tuesday or whatever, talking about cannabis.
Okay.
But I started doing it, I don't know, a few months ago, and I created a group. There's reporters, there's a psychiatrist from the University of Rio, there's the chief anesthesiologist from one of the biggest hospitals in São Paulo,
wow.
and there's all these big level in this WhatsApp group.
Okay.
And then we share articles and we share things and and then all of a sudden when it's close to Tuesday, the reporter Rex, hey, where should we go? Oh, let's do this one's interesting right now. And then he writes it up, we work together, and then I translate it and then I post it.
Oh,
so
wow.
I have a full
Jeez.
editing kind of direction. So it's not just it's like a serious awareness work.
Which is good.
Yes.
You have to
You're educating
educate
people.
people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was my view. So when I put the first post out, I just kind of went out and just went, all right, this is what's up, and here I am. If you think about my social media followers, just like anti-hero, right?
Yeah.
So you got that. I got that in me because I am, that, and then X Games or whatever,
Yeah.
say, right? So
Yeah.
all that. So I have all those people there, right? They're there. They follow me. There's both worlds are there. There's this clash of core and guys from sports and different Bob Merker's sports guy.
Mainstreams.
Yeah. Metals. There's that, so when I put that post, it was almost like I started a war of comments in between clashing of the worlds.
Wow.
It's almost like I was like, okay, this is what's up. And then so people are like, yeah, guys, and we need to talk about it. And then just crazy hate on the other side.
You shouldn't be doing this.
Oh, just going off at me, just make me fucking.
You were prepared for this.
Oh yeah, I mean you have to be, if not, or you crunch.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I got prepared. Funny enough, because I posted some kids olling over an alligator.
Okay.
I've seen that viral. They had some in Florida.
Sounds familiar.
They tied up his mouth.
Oh yeah.
And they ollied over the alligator. And I was like, I didn't see that. So I thought that was gnarly because I was like, dang, dude, that thing could have bit him.
Yeah.
Right. But obviously there's the sensitive,
People backlashed at that,
animal,
yeah.
And then so that backlash, and I was like, no, I didn't even mean it that way. So I was just like, okay, I pulled it out. But then I was like, well, fuck that. There's nothing, so then I went and posted a bird hanging on top of an alligator, just kind of chilling.
Yeah.
And then people just started laughing. Some people were like, nah, you're going off. That's not the post that you should. And then guys are sarcastic, oh, the birds, hurting the alligator.
Right.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay. And then I just got it, and I posted a bird fingerboarding down a ramp.
Okay.
Oh, there you go off. And then I posted the chimp that back in the day when I did that movie with, posted him skating my ramp. Jeez. And then the animal guys. And so I was just like, now I'm like, I was prepared in a sense for that because it was the first time I got negative. Because usually it's like, Bob, nice guy, I'm posting this stuff, skateboarding.
Yeah, of course.
You're not touching anyone. I wouldn't talk about soccer teams, religion,
politics,
right? But once I did that and they started on this thing, and I was like, okay, dude, it's okay to have a contrary, views, and you have to be able to take it. If you believe in something, you got to be able to
absolutely
take it. So then so then when I posted that, I knew what was coming.
Right.
I didn't really realize how intense that people would get because of it, but then it just showed the wound of society. So it kind of opened, because now I have these two, and it was just clash going off, and then next Tuesday I posted again, and then clash going off, and I was just and then I started having fun answering people. He'd say, oh, every people that smoke weed, are gay, and I was just like,
oh wow,
yeah, and I was like, well, that's weird, that's crazy that's your experience, but that's cool. Meaning that if he smoked weed, he was, and it's not like it's a bad thing. So I'd throw it back at him because there's all this. It's like, who cares?
It's crazy that people like that even follow you.
But that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's that mix because those people were dormant. They followed me because
X Games.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm the sports
television.
guy. Let's watch that, and then so then it just brought it out, right? Like, and the cool thing about that, it was like, that game, the alligators pop out, and you like hit
whack-a-mole style, or
so they would bark, block, disrespectful bark. If you can be against it, you can talk and like, and then I'm like, no, but and then I'll talk, But if you come out like full disrespect,
crazy.
like if you would have said it on the streets to my face, you would be punched. Because people, they don't like. You'll be completely different, to someone in front of them than you would behind them. That's the big thing. Right?
Totally.
So I would start, blocking, like, start, and then it start easing off, but I still get the hate, a little bit, but just kind of
it simmered down a little bit.
Simmered down a little
right.
because I kind of had to filter clean because I like the message to come out. You can not agree with it, just read it.
Yeah.
And just use your own social media if you want to push something that you want to.
Sure.
And, people, stop posting about weed. What about skateboarding? And my other post was a skate train. And it was just like, they want you to be quiet. Like, you're a professional skateboarder. You shouldn't. I was like, well, I should because I have a voice now. And if I don't do it, then we're in hiding and then nothing changes. And that's my view. So it's like, let's put the front. Let's say what's up. That's that. And and those are the reasons behind those ventures, and that I'm into a bunch of different things, obviously, and but those two companies, obviously, I'm like holding tight, and trying to, and to push out. But projects that right now are happening. I've locked in a deal with HBO for a 3 episodes of an hour each, so a docu-series on my life, right? On this, so that was huge.
Wow.
We were working on it for 2-3 years, and then we signed early
No
January,
way.
and we just kind of now got through the madness. So the money is there, so we got it. We
Crazy.
kind of
Congrats,
archival,
dude.
so we're not.
It's amazing,
yeah,
bro.
Well, now we're full on.
And I'm your new friend, so I get to be in it.
I was,
right?
I was here at the 9 Club, so I gotta say that I made it.
Dude,
so.
that's incredible,
Yeah,
bro.
so it's
I can't
cool.
wait to see that.
It was one of those like awesome shit. Because now you open up. I mean, there's no what we call sugarcoat, because then now it's like put it out. Because you got like what's up,
Yeah.
like how hard was my life? What did I do? Like not just like the hey,
You're Bob.
champion.
You're Bob.
Yeah, exactly. So you
know?
got to put out. So
When does that
in a
come
way,
out?
I'd say in a couple years now.
Yeah, it'll probably take a while.
Nah, we're going through archival now.
great.
Well, I guess people are watching here, so anyone that has footage, film, photos, or anything, whether pro or not, like
There
just
you
kind of
go.
like trying to reach out and.
Seriously.
So then we're
Wow.
gonna start archiving that.
Yeah,
Sick.
throw Bob a DM.
Yes, that's right. That's
Because there are people out there that have.
Yeah, we made a list, and
bunch
it's
of stuff.
super cool times. I mean, from hanging out with Gabe Morford,
yeah.
Tobin Yellen, like there's definitely that era and that time.
great.
Luke and Bryce Knights and
Killing it.
Yeah.
Burnkit,
Yeah.
Farmaleaf. You got
Hey,
HBO series coming out, man. What?
homie's got to pay the bills.
I
and,
love it.
and we gotta do it.
Is
So.
Farmaleaf only here in the U.S. or are you in Brazil?
So Farmaleaf will be worldwide, but obviously with the cannabis
Regulation,
market and
yeah.
regulations, certain places will allow. But the whole thing with Farmaleaf, it's not a cannabis company. It does have cannabis ingredients in certain, but I will have products that don't even have cannabis.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of, like, moringa is an incredible plant. It's like kind of like the hemp or the cannabis plant in its uses, So baru is like a nut, in Brazil. It's kind of, it's a super high protein. It's an incredible, and you can
Baru.
make oil, baru, B-A-R-U. So another incredible ingredient. And there's copaiba oil. It's great anti-inflammatory, so probably good for massage oils. And so it's mixing, adding arnica, copaiba, and even acai and guaraná, and obviously using the Brazilian aspect of my and the fact that the Amazon forest, we're definitely using ingredients and marketing into that. So it's sports centered, right? So it's not just everywhere, but like it's going to be in that. But we have a wide array of product, even kinesio tape.
Oh, wow.
That doesn't have any product in it.
Sure.
Because it is a pain management without taking opioids. And the whole idea is to stop all that madness.
Yeah.
And listen, if I have a bone sticking out, and I just slammed and there's nothing, and I go through a surgery. So like, and also we got to understand that we're not trying to go hippie, because when you need Western medicine, you need it,
Sure.
you need but all I'm trying to explain and convey is that just use that the least amount possible, and only for that acute phase.
Be careful with it.
Yeah, because it will, it destroys, so just be careful. That's all, and then so have an out, have a way out. And incredibly enough, like mushrooms are also really helpful in dealing with addiction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they're finding that out too. So in rehab, so that's my idea.
Wow.
It's to try to, hey, we're all gonna get hurt. We skate, You're gonna buy Burnkit, and then you're gonna get hurt, and then you get
Farmaleaf, covering all angles, and then you go watch his documentary, his docu-series.
As you got your ankle up on the,
and you're on mushrooms.
Exactly, really enjoying what you're watching.
Wow,
I'm like fully scared to try mushrooms.
It's I've been on it like it's like a low dose, and it's an every other day, and I went through. My friend that's the psychiatrist at the University of Rio de Janeiro, and he has been working with it, so he already had a few patients and had people like really respond, but it's microdosing. It's in a capsule, and there's different milligrams, and I do the really low dose, every other day. So you do low dose first thing in the morning, no food, just water, whatever.
Wow.
And then you jump 2 days and take it again, jump 2 days, take it again. It's just kind of, it's not trip. It's just kind of a good feeling. Like, it kind of keeps you in a good spot. But very high depression, like intense, like deep depression is usually cured with a higher dose, like full on mushroom dose.
Wow.
Because it opens up that whole thing is that it opens up your mind. The psilocybin molecule is like the serotonin, like it's exact in nature. So it's like it's that, right? Huh. And it was always used religious. It's like back in the day when they found, the Indians, they found that, and they would take it in their rituals. Not like it's not a recreational. Like we took it to like, let's go to go to
Coachella,
Joshua Tree,
all good. But that's not, especially on the higher doses, there's a level of guidance that there's a spiritual attachment to it. That if you open up, it's like a frequency. Right? You open up without being prepared, all kinds of madness can
bad trip.
And that's, the same thing with DMT and ayahuasca, and it's the same thing. It's all guiding, and they're really there to change and show us the next step we need to take, and that's the reality of it. Whether people believe in it, like it, hate it, it's just is. Eventually the studies, once you allow the studies to go through, right, and then a lot of that is going to come out. So I'm super into the power plants, and being from Brazil, obviously I got a little bit less of a closed mind on it, just because I've been around it. Yeah.
I love it, bro.
Yeah.
It's
right
cool,
on,
man. You're doing great things, bro. I'm telling you.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to have my cup of coffee on top of the mega ramp down there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's right. You got to go pull that off.
I'm telling you. I just want to go.
I'm going to Brazil next
down.
Friday. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll be out for a month because you got the street league. You're going to be out there?
Yeah, I'll be out there.
So that we got the park event in São Paulo. So I'll be there. We're launching Burnkit. The site's coming up.
Rad.
Next. So it's burnkitskateparks.com.
Okay.
So we'll probably next week. So by the 15th, which is the event, we should have everything ready.
Rad.
Like we did a bunch of shirts and hats and all that stuff. So we'll have that out like completes, and then we'll have the park, and we'll be like full on. So so I'll be there for then, and then so I'm full Farmaleaf mode now. And then when I go to Brazil, I'll do that, and then when I come back, then back into Farmaleaf. Got people that run it. So it's been a couple of years, but now I've got like investors in, partners in, someone to GM it, and then
it's amazing.
Man, let's keep on to the next.
Keep it moving.
Look
at that, man. Bob Burnquist, dude.
That's right,
bro. This is incredible.
This has been awesome.
I appreciate it, man.
Like all the stories, and I mean, just like I've been sitting here, just like enthralled, and like fascinated.
Well, thank you.
Your life, and I can't.
And congratulations, because this is such a cool. I think
appreciate that.
What you guys. I know it's not an easy feat, to keep, and you got to keep pushing and keep doing and keep
it's
going.
Fun, man.
And
People,
you're in a space
when we get to sit here and listen to these tales of Bob Burnquist, and
I get to go home and listen to the tales of Chad Muska and everyone else that's been here, and it's super fun. Congratulations.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Can we give you some 9 Clip stuff to take home?
Most definitely. definitely.
That'd be
Most
amazing.
definitely.
What size do a shirt or are you?
XL.
XL?
Yeah.
Kelly, we grab him some 9 Club stuff. Maybe a mug,
Yeah.
you know, for his.
I'll leave this for you guys too.
Oh,
Get that.
amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. Look at that.
And I got a piece of Dreamland.
Yo, right behind you, right there on the
yeah,
red.
there you
Yeah. Got a piece of Dreamland.
Yeah. Little skate light piece. This was on the Bull. So
Okay.
Yeah. So when we pulled that out and concreted over it, and I saved a bunch of that.
Sick.
So then I was like, okay, if I'm going to 9 Club, piece of skate light.
Look at that, Raj.
Boom.
Piece of history right there.
I have you sign this.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get the Sharpie.
Get the old
We'll
Sharpie
definitely get
out,
that going
dude.
before I go.
Did you come in with a helmet? Are you riding a bike?
Yeah, I actually did a park and ride over down at the 78, and I drove up with a friend. So I'll just Uber down and then get the bike and go home. That's a far ride for the.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Wow.
So you got your car. Wait.
Yeah, I had a meeting before.
Yeah.
And then so I drove up with some friends, but I parked. So I met him at the park and ride. At the 78. and the 5,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. So you
Left
had
the bike there. Yeah.
That's why the helmet.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Nice, dude.
Get in my Triumph ride. That was
Oh, the little Triumph.
Yeah. Well, I started riding, motorcycles a while ago. Just my mom didn't like it, but it was one thing that I just had to.
Yeah.
I guess you want to have that feeling, that extra danger or whatever. But it's just, it's such a free way to cruise around. I think it's so fun. And then last year I locked in a deal with Triumph, and
Oh, wow.
so I get bikes and get cruise around everywhere I go. And they got such an incredible group of bikes. And
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, so I get to, if I'm going traveling somewhere, hey, I'm going to be here for a couple weeks. I get,
Did
They
you
get the
a
bike.
yeah, I get,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No
got,
way.
They got so many fun ones. So, yeah.
That's incredible, dude. Huh. Oh, thank you, Kelly, bro.
Sweet.
Look at this. We got a bunch of.
Oh, wait, this is what I've been
Dude,
seeing
Bob.
looping behind
Did-
you. Okay, now I get it. That's on major loop.
Yep.
switch flip
4-hour
manual.
loop.
You know what I'm saying? First of all,
Yes.
pleasure, Bob. Bob
Thank you so
Burnquist, man. This is.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah.
Thank
These
you.
stories
Hey, and
are-
thanks, Felipe Mota.
Yes.
Ai,
thank you.
Felipe, você falou pra eu vim, tá aqui, eu queria agradecer aí, porque agora, né, já cheguei aqui, tô no 9 Club. Valeu, Felipe.
I second that. I don't know what he said, but it
Me
sounded
too.
good.
I'm surprised you didn't do the intro in Portuguese.
I've done the intro in Portugal when Delmo Jr. was here. Go
Well, you
watch
did
it.
You already, that's an ABD.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
so-
I'm trying to move on to something
Yeah,
new
that's
here.
right. That's right.
Go back and watch it. Let me know how I did.
I will.
I think I did pretty good. The comments were very supportive.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Here's some stickers for the Mega Ramp.
Sweet.
Can I put those on
Nice.
there, bro? They're not. Maybe we'll make a big banner
We should
for
make
you.
a big banner.
Yeah,
Yes,
we need
that'll disappear.
That, if a screw's loose, put it over this.
Tape over the screw.
Yeah. What is he got? You got something else here?
Yeah, I got
Stick it in his Oakley bag.
Oh, were you trading? Look at that.
Ah.
Got a bunch of
Hey.
stickers. Burn kit.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Damn. These are cool.
Throw these in the
Yeah, I got
orders.
plenty of those.
Thank you.
Yeah.
that's amazing.
When are you born, Chris?
I'm gonna put one on my.
Microphone?
When you
Oh
car-
yeah. Look at
Put it
that.
in your Chevy Volt.
Get one on my lawn board.
Put this on there.
Oh, wow. There you go.
He's gonna put it on his board right now.
Dude,
It's the first. It's
Because
throw-
I had the 9 Club experience, I wouldn't be able to put this on the
Well,
board.
that's our other show that we have, Bob. That we
so that's
sit
the
down
other
and
show. Okay, so then
well, we sit down and talk about skating. And look, Bob, I'm gonna put,
I love that you're riding on a Luan board.
Hey, I'm like, if I'm gonna rock the streets, I'm like, all right, Luan. And I never cover his name. So
The Brazilian Army,
that.
dude.
Yeah.
He's got it on his butt. Bob, look at this right here on the mic.
oh,
Huh?
dude, see,
You know what I'm saying?
that's it. That's how we do it.
You know what I'm saying?
Perfect.
Dude, here's a switch flip manual
Yes.
mug for your coffee.
All right.
Your coffee or tea?
Both.
I feel like you're both.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Ayahuasca in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ayahuasca in the morning.
Hey, why not?
Here's a 9 Club New Era hat for you.
All right.
There you go. And
Crew neck.
9 Club crew neck. Oh, he's putting on the hat. He's getting dressed. I have a feeling he's going to put this crew neck
Getting
on
fully
next.
updated.
There we go.
Look at that, huh? I love that, man.
Sick.
Listen, I want you to wear this gear when you do your comeback for the X Games. Okay?
That's it.
Fully kitted.
Fully kitted. Bob Burnquist up now, the 9 Club. Here's a XL 9 Club shirt for you, Bob. There you go,
Oh,
bro.
man, I'm getting hooked up.
And this is, they're all my favorites.
I have to send a Farmaleaf package here.
Please,
coming up soon when
please
the products are out. Yep.
Please do. 9 Club embroidered hoodie.
Dude,
They're comfy.
guys,
There you go, bro.
I'm sponsored again.
Fully sponsored.
Free stuff, man.
Fully sponsored.
Hooked up.
We get photo incentive.
That's hey,
20,
all right.
$20.
Make the sticker a little bigger so I know it really
It
shows.
pops. Yeah.
X Games come back, $40. Bob,
Dude, thanks.
once again,
Right
thank
on,
you
man.
so
Fuck
much,
yes.
dude.
Yeah, man.
You're the man,
Still.
bro. This guy. Oh, he's getting up to give Kelly a nice. Look at
Get a
that.
hug.
Thank you, bro.
Boom.
Can't leave him hanging back there.
It's great.
You're the first
dude.
person to ever do that.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
true.
Nah,
Usually get like the air pump.
yeah, you're like, yeah, man, you way over there. Right on.